Not specifically.
Yeah. Test.
But it,
I
but
fussed
it,
with the
it should.
settings on the. Stop it.
You would think it would
Not
still be playing me
specifically.
though.
Oh, there we go.
Specifically.
Oh, now you can hear me.
Yeah, it was weird, and then I ended up messing around with the settings on the microphone. I was like, oh, I wish I had figured out that the settings in OBS were futzy first, and yeah, that's what it was. So now we should be good.
Okay, good. You can hear us both now.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Now it's picking up. Now it's picking up all the things it needs to pick up.
Yeah, that was weird.
Why does it keep giving me the same notification over and over again? Very strange.
I'm waiting for time to catch up with us. I'm watching the video, and it's like you're still futzing around in the settings. Now, there we go. Now it's our faces. So, you.
There's the timer. Okay.
And 3, 2, 1.
This podcast is brought to you by the Arate Media Pantheon. Please go to aratemedia.org to see lots of podcasts from our great friends. And if you want to create your own podcast, they can provide you with the resources and tools to do so there. So please head to aratemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show, Justin.
So I have to sort of egg on my face. Mistakes were made. Okay.
We have to address the elephant in the room,
which is that we sort of forgot that it was Father's Day. Because
it's on the wrong day. It's on the wrong day.
And thankfully, we both have a dad who's cool with rescheduling. But we sort of said other people would be here, and they maybe have other commitments because it is Father's Day, and that
turns out they have dads too.
Yeah, so that's cool. I messaged them all privately.
Our mistake.
Virus, I didn't message you, but that's because by the time I got to Jake, I sort of came to the realization that you probably also have some form of a Father's Day plan with somebody somewhere, a relative somewhere that you're spending Father's Day with. It's all good. It's all cool. It's my own fault for not following up. We realized this late last night, so it's and yeah, I work quite early in the morning, so I've messaged you all.
So long story short,
it's all cool. It's just me and Jordan. Whoopsies, and we're flying solo today.
I mean, unless one or two of them show up midstream, which would be cool too.
Yeah. All of you, if you realize, oh shoot, I was supposed to do that podcast, and you want to jump in midstream, we have our Discords open to all the people who are on our Discord, so you could jump in if you would like to. But it's all good. It's all cool.
We're working under the assumption you won't because you're busy.
Because you're busy, and that's cool. That's our bad. My bad. That's my bad. That's my bad. But we're gonna truck along, and we're gonna maintain
on
course.
With the show. This is it.
Yeah. And today's show,
as they say, the show must go on.
Today's show, we're gonna talk about. We're talking some Deadpool 3 news. There's a new Watchmen movie apparently. There's a Suicide Squad and Lord of the Rings anime. And Pixar's not making no live action movies. And then afterwards, it's my birthday on Wednesday. Fun fact. And because it's my birthday on Wednesday, it's the middle of the week, and who celebrates their birthday in the middle of the week like a savage? So who wants to celebrate their birthday after it's already happened? So we're gonna
before any of that, I was gonna do this with the extra people, but I guess I'm gonna be a quartet of just me. Happy early birthday to you. Happy early birthday to you. Happy early birthday to Justin. Happy early birthday to you.
Why?
And many more.
I didn't subject you to that on your birthday.
Because I can.
Um, um,
And you mean you want to know why? Because I knew it would embarrass you.
ugh, yuck, disgusting. Anyway, and then because it's my birthday, I'm feeling nostalgic. We're gonna talk about some stuff that makes us nostalgic, and because we have a sweet. Speaking of nostalgia, this episode is sponsored by the Goosebumps crew and One Weekend at Horrorland. It's a pretty sweet event. We're going to talk about in the sponsorship section because they're doing that sweet event. Obviously, that made me go, I gotta watch some Goosebumps stuff. So I watched some Goosebumps stuff. So we're going to talk about some Goosebumps stuff and some nostalgia, not just Goosebumps, but some nostalgic stuff later on. That's gonna be very, very fun. The event in particular, there's a particular guest that's going to be there that I'm excited for. That I'm particularly like. This was already pretty cool, but that made me go, yeah, this is an event you want to be at.
I mean, I think it's cool enough that I pledged to it. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, he says we pledged as a podcast, but he pledged as himself.
But it was for both of us.
It was for both of us. So yeah, that's really cool. We're going to talk about that later. But to start off with, I need you to know, and this maybe will encourage our friends when they have time, when they're free, to come back. There's a mystery news story that I will not reveal until one or more of them come back. That's all I have to say about that.
But
Moving on.
But I want to.
It's a mystery
But I want to
story.
know.
You will not know.
What's the mystery?
You won't know.
I need to know.
You won't know.
Why would you tell me?
That's how we build hype, Jerome. We build suspense. You will not know.
Dang it.
In fact,
maybe
I'll hold off on it until we get really famous guests, and that'll just be a running gag. Do you want to know what the mystery story is?
I want to know what the mystery is.
We'll never find out. Or maybe you
have
will.
To tell me.
Or maybe you will.
No,
Who knows?
But really, you have to tell me. It's a rule. You have to tell me.
I'm not telling you. You'll find out, Jordan. When at least Virus Fox and Jake and some to all of the Goosebumps crew. And you know what? Maybe Haley comes back. You know, maybe we get the whole network. I'll reveal the mystery story. Because
I'm very disappointed in you.
It's a good one. I was going to do it today, but now I need to save it for a bigger audience, Jordan. It's truly a magnificent story.
I'm very disappointed.
Also, and just to be clear, I know what you're gunning for, and I will not tell you off air.
Oh, you're gonna tell me one way or the other.
I will not. The mystery will
I will wring the secret out of you.
Jordan, all you need to know, it's good. It's good stuff.
I have the technology.
Jordan, apparently they're making a new Watchmen movie, and they just completely stuck it by us.
Oh, why?
I don't know why. Nobody wants it, even Alan Moore.
I don't. They already have one, which is fine, and they don't really need to do another one.
It popped up on my YouTube channel, on my YouTube like recommendations or whatever, just errantly. It was like, it's a trailer for this Watchmen movie. And it was from Warner Brothers, and I was like, what is this? And it looks like a really accurate version of Watchmen. Like all of the art looks like the comic. It's like, what if we made the comic into a movie? Like that's what it looks like, at least from the trailer.
I mean, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Like it looks interesting.
I'm not inherently against that.
Right? No, neither am I. I'm like that does. Yeah, that's
interesting. It would kind of be cool if instead of doing a live action one though, they just did an animated one.
But it's animated.
Like
it's animated.
Oh, it's animated.
Yeah, but it's like that half like that cell shaded animation where it's like sort of kind of 2D, but it's 3D. Like it's animated 3D, but like made to look like. I'll send you the trailer later. But it's made to look like the comic. Like it looks like the comic.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Then I thought you were saying it was another live action one.
Oh, it's a two-part. I don't know. It's chapter 1 and 2. So I don't know of how many chapters, but
interesting.
Yeah, it's a new animated movie. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they're making any changes to the story or if it's going to be a really like faithful, or what. But from just an art direction standpoint, it looks like the comic.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. So apparently they're making an Until Dawn movie, and they announced the cast, and I didn't recognize any of the names, so like I didn't bother to look at. But
that game basically is a movie.
It's like 2/3 of the way to a movie, so like, what's the point?
What's the point?
And the
I don't
story
get
isn't
it.
like it's kind of it's
Like,
not really all that
like,
interesting enough to.
I like that game. Don't get me wrong, but it's basically already a movie. That's the
Yeah,
point of those kind of games.
yeah,
Like, I don't. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I don't. Okay, yeah, I don't get it. I don't
Speaking
understand.
speaking of uh speaking of video game news, though, I don't know if this is in your list, but did you hear they're making a sequel to Life is Strange? Like an actual Max Caulfield proper sequel?
Yes, I saw the trailer you sent me for that. Um, yes,
We
that
never
interests
talked
me.
about it.
I know, I meant to. It's definitely a substantial graphical upgrade. It's clearly running in the
Oh
same engine
yeah, as
as
colors.
Colors. Oh, it for sure is, and it looks fun. I like the
It looks
concept
fun.
of the multiple timelines. I'm wondering if that means Chloe's going to come back.
That's where I'm yeah, I'm interested to see because I don't think they ever said which of the endings is actually
I
canon.
believe
I
the
think the
actual
one where
canon
they
ending is
saved
the
the
one where she
town.
dies. Yeah, where they save the town. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they saved the town.
apparently there's a comic book where you see the one where she lives, where it takes place after the one
Interesting.
where she, yeah, and which apparently this one either has a character. There's a reference to that in this. But she's not in the
Interesting.
trailer. But yeah, yeah. Just the very nature of like we have two different versions. Like we presented you with a binary choice, which creates two separate timelines, and now the second one involves two separate timelines. It's like just kind of gives the vibe of we can't decide which ending is canon, so they both are. So we can bring that
Yeah, I
character
mean,
back and then still have the
if
ending where we save the town.
if they're smart, I actually would prefer they do that. If they're smart, they have it where the one timeline where she goes to in this game where her friend is alive is one of the timelines, and this and the other timeline is the yeah, you can
Yeah.
have your cake and eat it too. That absolutely works for me in this case.
I mean, I just was sort of like it was annoying because they can't. I'm just happy they finally did a sequel with Max because it was getting to the point where it's like they're not doing anything with the concept of having different it being about different people. Like at one point they were gonna, and maybe this one leads to it, but I thought I heard a rumor that they were gonna there was a version of this where it was gonna be like this universe is like Avengers and it's led by Max. Maybe they're still going
I
in that
mean,
direction.
maybe they're going in that. Maybe this is leading into that. All I know is that I really liked Colors.
Yeah, Colors is
And
really good.
if this is in the same the same kind of style, but it's with Max now, I really
Yeah,
like the Max storyline too.
yeah.
But it's hard to go back and play that first one because it's just so old.
Yeah, well, I would like for them to do a Life is like a remake. I think that they did a remake, but it still looks the same as the original. I think, but I
It
would
was
like for them
more
to
of
do a remake
yeah.
in the engine, the Colors engine,
The one that they did was more of a graphical upgrade, but yeah, I'd like to do one in the Colors engine.
like just a
But yeah,
from the
no,
ground up remake.
that was something that I was like, we never talked about that, and that can fit into the news. So thought
Exactly.
I'd
Yeah.
mention that one.
Yeah. I'm interested in that. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um.
me too.
So Deadpool. See, this is one of those news stories. I Doesn't matter. They're eyeing it for a $200 million opening box office weekend. So my question was going to be, do you think this will save the MCU? But we're kind of both in the same camp. But at least I feel we are. I don't think the MCU has ever been in trouble. I think that's hyperbolic.
No, I don't. I don't think it was in
But
trouble per se.
just my
I
opinion.
think it was. I think it was stagnating a little bit with some of the later stage four stuff. I think the
Yeah,
televisions
I
to say that it needed saving is hyperbolic and strong. To say that it needed refinement or needs
yeah.
refinement. Oh, we have a message from Arete. Sup fellas, sorry I can't be on the podcast, but wanted to drop by and say hi and happy birthday.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, we assumed everyone has plans. So
We said in
it's
the
all
beginning we
good.
kind of forgot it was Father's Day.
But if you're still watching, Jake, and I'm using this to entice you all into coming back on the show. I don't have my glasses on. There's a mystery news story that was cut from today's show that even Jordan doesn't know what it is.
I
Um,
want to know. You
so
will tell me,
the more of you that come on the show, the more likelihood that I will reveal what the mystery story is. So
and
that's my new.
we'll definitely do another episode, a follow up episode later where we have you guys all on again
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Um, so it's no worries.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, man. No worries. Um, yeah,
Deadpool.
Deadpool Wolverine. Is it going to save the MCU?
What was I saying? I was
does the
saying
MCU need saving? I don't think it does.
no, I think it needs refinement, and I think
Yeah.
the one of the bigger issues that the MCU has brought on itself
Too much
was
shit.
the inclusion. I was going to say specifically the inclusion of the shows.
Mhm.
It confuses if you have a movie cinematic universe, it confuses it, and it
Yeah, it was
makes
the
it where you
Marvel
have
Cinematic Universe.
you have hundreds of hours of stuff that you then have to slot in, and it makes it a confusing and messy thing.
What would?
Arete Media says, "Is it that Cal Dodd will be at one weekend at Horrorland?"
Oh no,
Smiley face.
we're gonna talk about that later. I'm very excited to talk about that because yeah, that's sweet. That's so cool. Friggin',
That is
I
so
mean,
cool.
Wolverine. I did not know that Wolverine. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. That's for the future.
It would be
Water went down the
so
wrong
cool
pipe.
it would be so cool to be able to have him on here and talk about X-Men
I
movies and
mean,
different Wolverines.
that would be. It would be even cooler if like we could maybe get Wolverine to do an intro to the podcast. I'm just saying it would be sweet if we could get Wolverine to shout out the podcast. That would be
I mean,
cool.
that would be dope.
And like we're theoretically at the very least going to be there virtually. And we maybe there's a virtual
Yeah.
panel that we can maybe get him to. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But the only way that happens is if people donate to the Kickstarter. We're gonna talk about it. Don't worry. Deadpool, and Wolverine. Is it gonna save the MCU?
Yeah, we keep getting off topic. I don't think the MCU. To summarize, I don't think the MCU needs saving. I think it needs refinement. And I think that yes, Deadpool and Wolverine has the opportunity to clean up things in a fun
Yes.
way.
And like it being the only Marvel movie that's coming out this year is definitely it. But I definitely think they need to like go back and split up the television because and the movies because having to be tied to each other is fucking the both of them because
It's messy.
like the television shows don't get to they have to reference the movies so they're like hamstrung to movies and then that like stymies the ability of the movies to make anything creative because you have to be concerned about like the stupid gritty details of a television show and like television and movies are two different mediums like you can't.
Yeah, and the thing is with the
There's a
Deadpool
reason
movie
why they're
having the
separate.
with the Deadpool movie having the TVA in it, they have set them up and queued themselves up brilliantly to have a joke where Wolverine is like looking at all the branches and being like, "Well, that's just too messy," and starts clipping
Yeah.
clipping off a couple of them or something, and it deletes the TV shows.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. That focus on the movies. But yeah, being like one
Like
movie a year, and
you
that's
can
why this is gonna do well because people are jonesing for a Marvel movie. Even the people who want to complain about it are like, I need to get to the theater and complain about the Marvel movie. So Jordan, here's the question about Deadpool. I have one more bit of Deadpool adjacent news, but Jordan, how long do you think? How long do you think it takes till they call Deadpool woke or whatever?
I don't think they will. Yeah, this is okay. Controversial thing. They won't because he's a man.
All right. Okay.
Because he's because specifically, and I'm going to go there because he's a white man who can do no wrong.
Interesting. Interesting. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they're definitely gonna. They're gonna pretend they're
Like
into it
he's
for like the
Ryan,
first like
he's
couple
Ryan
days, and then they'll
Reynolds.
be like, "It went woke." Ryan Reynolds went
He's
woke.
right. He's Ryan Reynolds, Canadians joy and American sweetheart. Um, the man has built
I
himself
mean,
up in such a way that like I don't know.
I mean,
I think he's a
maybe not. Maybe
I
not.
think he's a hard pillar to topple.
Maybe this will be universally beloved. Um,
Maybe
I
this will
am so
unify the
fucking
left, the
excited for it.
right, and everyone in between.
Drawing up, you know who they confirmed?
Deadpool. Deadpool is the one who will bring us all together.
You know who they've allegedly confirmed is not in Deadpool 3, Jordan, and much to people's major disappointment. Taylor
Is
Swift
it
is
Spider-Man?
allegedly no. Taylor Swift is allegedly not in Deadpool and Wolverine, Jordan, leaving fans divided, as this article's headline suggests.
Are you screwing with me? Was that ever a thing?
That was a thing, and to be fair, it's a thing that does make sense.
All right, Arete Media says, don't forget People Magazine's Best Kiss 2013.
Exactly. And
Exactly.
wasn't he also sexually span alive one of the years? I don't know which year.
I feel like he was.
At least one
That
of the
sounds familiar.
years.
That sounds
Um,
familiar.
but yeah, no, she was gonna be Dazzler.
Oh, okay.
Which Dazzler, part of Dazzler's thing is she's a blonde pop star. What I still think she might be, because it's one of those scenarios where she was like hanging around Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, and then they asked the director, "Is Taylor Swift in the movie?" And he instead of being like no definitively, he did that thing where they went maybe. So like, and she's being
I
like
mean,
no,
I, I, I mean,
but
yeah,
like
because he wants all the Swifties to go to fill the theater seats. It doesn't want to like dispel that she's there because that'll stop them. And so he's like, maybe so they can show up
thinking
and then
she'll be there.
hate him for her not being there, but he still gets their ticket money.
Well, yeah, people point out this article points out like, yeah, Andrew Garfield really fucked it for actors, man, because like every time someone's like, no, um,
People are just like, oh, well, you're doubling down on no. That means
yeah,
yes.
that means you're an Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield lied, and I was like, oh man, every person who's in a superhero thing ever has to answer for that now, and it fucking sucks. I mean, it makes it
I mean,
annoying
yeah.
when they're like, we're definitely not in it. Um,
But the important thing here, Justin, the thing that I really need to hone in on, and Swifties don't come at me. I don't care if she's in it. I really
I
don't.
mean,
I
nah,
really, really
I don't
don't.
really have a hard.
She means she means nothing to me, like both for positive and like I don't care.
I don't have strong
She's
feelings
she's
about
really popular, but I have no strong feelings for
yeah,
her.
no, I have no
She
strong
exists.
I have no strong feelings about Dazzler being in there. I mean, she probably is. She probably is. She like
I mean,
there's a lot of hints of
here's what
like
I'll
big
say.
cameos in there, and that'd be big enough that people would be like, "Ooh, there's a big cameo."
She could be Taylor Swift, she could be Miley Cyrus, she could be any pop star, and I probably wouldn't care.
No, they'd be like, "Oh, that's Dazzler," and I'm like, "Hey, I remember her from
Okay.
the cartoon and that video game."
She was in a video game?
Mm-hmm. She's um yeah, she's one of the characters in that arcade game, that X-Men arcade game.
She is?
Yeah, in the animated
Oh.
series, she was in the pilot, and then they changed her to Jubilee, which is why
Yeah,
her and Jubilee have the
that's
same
the one
powers.
that's the one that I know.
Yeah, yeah, that's why her and Jubilee share the same powers.
In
Is because they're
in fact, when you said Dazzler, that's who I thought you were
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. If you've there's that if you've
Which
ever seen
kind of just tells you how interchangeable they are.
yeah, pretty much. So one of the joke articles I pulled um that I'm gonna leave in this joke because I still think it's funny. It just said Skywalker's colon a love story, and I'm like, I know people haven't been really into the direction that Star Wars has been going, but even I'm like, yeah, that's a weird
Uh, okay.
one. Star Wars, I love look.
Skywalker Ranch. Yeah, no. The movie where the two Skywalkers.
No, like Skywalker, like Star Wars. God, I'm explaining the
Yeah,
joke, and
I don't get it.
it was a Luke and Leia loving joke.
Okay, that's what I was subtly trying to hint
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
without openly stating.
yeah. That was the joke. I've now explained the joke,
Okay,
so
okay.
it's no longer funny.
It's a little funny.
It's no longer funny
I
anymore.
mean, it's a little funny watching you stumble over the fact that I just didn't get the joke
You
at
think get it?
first.
You think you get George? You didn't go to Luke and Leia loving when you heard Skywalker a love story. How could you
Oh,
not? It was right
I
there.
thought,
It was. I
I mean,
feel like this is
I
on
thought
you,
you were
not me. The joke was strong.
no. If you let me finish, I thought that you were hinting at Ray, who became a Skywalker, loving with Ben, who was a Skywalker.
Oh, I mean, yeah. That's also Skywalker loving Jordan.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were hinting at,
There was some.
and and it made me actually think of a thing that I saw in terms of Ray, where it's like instead of taking the Skywalker name, she should have kept Palpatine and like made it into a hero name
It's true. I agree.
instead of one that was associated with the dark. Kind of would have meant more,
Right? Um,
you know.
I do know. So the joke didn't land. Real glad I didn't waste that on a group. Anyway,
I mean, they probably would have gotten it more than I did,
Um,
but you know.
they've revealed apparently there's a new Lord of the Rings movie coming out, and it's anime. And I won't lie to you, it looks cool. It's called
Oh, okay. Where in the timeline is it? Is it like the
it's
Lord of the Rings, or is it the Hobbit,
it's
or
the
is
Lord
it?
of the Ring colon the War for oh my god the pronunciation Rohirrim Rohi double
Probably
R
probably Rohan.
Rohan, but there's it's IM
I don't know.
IRRIM.
I have no idea. I'm not that big of a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not gonna.
But it's a prequel, so it's about the first king of man. This is the
Oh.
story of the most powerful king in Rohan's history. Someone who defeated
Oh
his
yeah,
enemy
so it is Rohan.
with his bare fist. Why did his lineage have to end with him? And yeah, it looks
So
cool. It
I'm
looks really
guessing
pretty.
Rohan. I'm guessing Roheim or whatever you said that it was is probably like early days Rohan.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm not sure, but it looks really pretty. Like it looks really pretty. Um,
Interesting. No, yeah, anime and Lord of the Rings aren't two things that I really think of together. So
and then
when did that come out?
I just deleted it. I'm not sure. Not for a while, I don't think, because there's no trailer.
Da-
It's just images.
Dang it, Justin.
Um,
Dang it. You had one job, and that's to tell me information about the news articles that I ask you as I'm asking them. You can't answer me them when you close the article prematurely. This
Jordan,
is this is on you.
you're not allowed to preemptively close the news articles as we're talking about them in a means of expediency for efficiency's sake.
No,
How
Justin, you have
dare
to
you?
wait until
Quite frankly, how
we've
dare you?
moved on. How dare you?
Quite frankly, how dare you? Quite
You should
frankly,
be ashamed of yourself.
I am. I'm deeply ashamed. And also in other anime news, in other unexpected anime news, um, there's a Suicide Squad anime called Suicide Squad Isekai, which is, to my knowledge, an isekai. Which I don't fully understand what an isekai is. Other than it's when a character gets teleported to a magical realm. So like I think
So like
technically
so like so like the Batman one.
more in what I'm more practically I meant like Digimon. Digimon is an isekai.
Uh
I think if I'm
or
understanding it correctly.
or Spirited Away.
I think so, but I'm not sure. So I think it's the Suicide Squad get teleported to a magical realm. I think,
Okay.
but it's a TV
That
show, and it also
sounds
looks cool. It's really violent
that
looking.
sounds that sounds different.
Yeah, yeah. I saw the trailer for it. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Um, which one
I
did
could
you
be
see
down.
more, The Lord of the Rings or the Suicide Squad? And the Suicide Squad is a TV show. Lord of the Rings is a movie.
Probably the Lord of the Rings one because I've had a sour experience with DC as anime with the Batman one.
Interestingly, the Lord of the Rings one, it's not a streaming thing. It looks like it's theatrical. It's going to theaters, which surprises the shit out of
Really?
me. Yeah, I was like, how did I miss a theatrical Lord of the Rings movie that honestly looks kind of cool? Like, yeah, it's really
Yeah.
like it's really pretty and smooth animation. Like it looks pretty. Like it looks like some pretty anime. If you like anime, like it's like anime.
Interesting.
Yeah, these guys
Very,
like
very,
that too.
very
It also
interesting.
looks really pretty. Like the animation is really fluid. Like watching the Suicide Squad kill people is really fun. Um, it just is. Um, um,
Um,
um, filler word,
um,
filler word, filler word. They
um,
revealed the trailer for Sausage Party, the new Sausage Party show, and like it's incredible because like people pointed out like the Megamind. They're like, wow, man, why does this look so much worse than Megamind? And it's like because Megamind took something that looked good and then reduced it in quality and budget significantly, so it looks cheap. This was already cheap looking, and then they reduced it even further. So yeah, it looks bad. It's incredible how they got all of the original cast though. Like they even have Edward Norton as the bagel.
even Seth Rogen.
Yeah, yeah, all of them. They're all back. I think it's
Wow,
produced by him. Yeah, but they're all back.
wow.
Yeah,
I mean that makes it a little bit better.
yeah. The trailer is I can't describe it because it's R rated and kind of vaguely graphic.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
suffice it to say, there's a lot of food doing stuff.
doing a lot of
They're
things.
doing a lot of things. And this just doesn't look very good. I'm just gonna be straight up. It looks very bad.
I mean, to be fair, the movie wasn't very good.
The movie wasn't
So
very good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The thing about the movie is like I got really really high for that, so it made it fun. But like this is like I think a 6 or somewhere it's a streaming show, so it's like somewhere in the range of like 6 to 7 episodes, 8 episodes. So like that's so long. That's so long. I don't. I just that just doesn't interest me. The joke barely sustained itself for a 90-minute movie. Like I just don't.
I mean, I would argue it doesn't sustain itself for a movie, but that's just me.
Oh, the ending of that movie is so weird. It's so weird.
Justin, we can't talk about that.
No,
Just like we can't talk about Bruno, we can't talk about that.
cannot talk
We have
about the ending of
we have
because it's weird.
agreed that it is a subject that must never be discussed.
So weird.
So we will not discuss it. Moving on.
Moving on. So this is a question I'm gonna make this into a short, and I'm gonna ask Jake because I know his feelings. He has negative feelings about the Batman. The latest Batman movie, the Batman, Robat Bat
Patton Batson.
Pat Batson. Um, there's a Penguin show that's coming out that's based on the Colin Farrell Penguin from that movie, and it's supposed to bridge the gap between the Batman 1 and the Batman 2. More Bat and Pat.
Does it have Batman?
It might. It sounds like he cameos at the very least. But I couldn't tell you. I have not paid attention to anything about this
Then
because
ooh,
that's gonna lead me. That's gonna lead me to my question though. Who gives a shit? Like, do
yeah.
you give a
Ooh.
shit? Like, I don't
No,
give a
I barely
shit.
gave it. I barely gave a shit about that movie. I didn't really like it very much.
Right? So like, I like it, but like, I don't like this version of this character. I certainly am not interested in a mob show with this version of this character. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Stop making Batman-less Batman shows. Make a
That's
Batman
my
show.
thing.
Make a
That's
Batman
my
show.
thing.
Make a Batman show. That's not animated. Make a live action Batman show for the love of God. You made a live action Superman show. Make a live action Batman show. Like, what's wrong with you? But no, I'd be curious as to like Jake. Who cares, right? Who cares?
Who is asking for
Who's
that?
asking for this? Nobody was. But then people like DC sycophants will like pretend they care, and it's like, do you honestly care? Like, honestly, do you honestly care?
No, I don't.
So okay, so this really wild clip popped up today. This week has just been wild clips popping up on my Facebook page. Not Facebook, YouTube, and it was a clip from this theatrical movie. It's not a trailer; it's just a single clip of this theatrical Looney Tunes movie. It's called it's a Daffy Duck and Porky Pig movie, and it's called The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, and it's apparently going to theaters.
Huh.
And I'm
I
like,
don't remember seeing any trailers for something like that.
no, and it looks really. It looks like Looney Tunes, and it sounds like Looney Tunes, and it's a 2D animated movie, and it appears to be a pretty straightforward comedy with Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. And I'm like,
You're sure it's
why?
new and it's not something that was released in the past but is being like
Yeah,
re-released?
as far as this article and what I read is concerned, it is new. So that just leads me to my question. What? I'm for this, obviously. I'm pro Looney Tunes. Why not release the Wile E. Coyote movie then? If you clearly see there's a market for Looney Tunes, or are they just capitalizing off of the PR and they realize that audiences will just show up of support of any Looney Tune thing, and the fact that it looks like Looney Tunes is helping?
I mean, kind of. I could believe that. I could believe that maybe that was the plan all along.
Maybe in order to like jack up sales on this otherwise okay. But then why not just
You throw away the one that you're not confident about to drum up support for the one that you have more confidence for.
like this clip looks cool, but it's got a real straight to streaming vibe to it. It's surprising it's going to theaters.
Interesting.
Weird, yeah, it's very strange.
I'd not heard of that, so yeah, that's weird.
And so then, oh dang it! I pulled the wrong. Hold on. I pulled the wrong story. Dang it! That's okay. James Gunn has come out and said what Creature Commandos is going to be about, and I wanted the exact quote in front of me, but I'm going to paraphrase. It's basically Creature Commandos is another team of people that Waller no longer able, another team of misfits that Amanda Waller has pulled together because she can no longer use humans to do unethical jobs. She must now use monsters, and it's just a Suicide Squad, but with different people. Are they all going to be sassy again? It just kind of sounds like the Suicide Squad, which in and of itself was just Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I don't, I don't. You know what I
Is
mean?
is that inherently a bad thing?
It's getting a little tired for me at this point. I guess it's just like do something
I mean,
else.
that's fair.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like,
But I mean,
okay.
when DC can't do the Justice League properly, do you really have faith that they'll do anything properly?
I mean, they did the Suicide Squad pretty good, but I'm just like, maybe stretch your muscles a little bit. Maybe don't do a safe team movie where with a misfit team. Although I think Creature Commanders is the show. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being cynical. Maybe that's just me being cynical. I'm still hopeful on Superman Legacy, so we'll see. Which is no longer called Superman Legacy, by the way. Um,
Is it
Pixar.
just called Superman
I think
now?
it's just called. Yeah, it's very smartly just called Superman now. Pixar apparently, allegedly, has no plans to make live action remake movies. Good,
Good.
good,
Disney, you could learn from them.
good. Well, aren't they technically Disney?
Shut up.
Like they're Disney adjacent, right?
Yeah, I think they're a different company that's owned by Disney, much like how Marvel is a different company that's owned by Disney,
Yeah,
but like they still operate independently.
exactly. Yeah, fair. Yeah, we might talk about that next week because I'd like to watch that movie, and I was maybe gonna watch it this weekend, and then I just didn't feel like it.
Which one?
Inside Out 2, the
Oh,
Pixar
yeah.
one.
We could talk about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it.
If that's out, then that's a thing that I think I have free tickets.
That is out. Yeah, I believe that was out this weekend.
So I'm just saying.
Anyway. That was it. That was the last news story. We're done the news. It's still not great. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. It's just feedback. It's not getting better.
Well, I mean,
We've
I'm just
plateaued, is
saying
what I'm
we
saying.
we have a musician who is a part of the podcast network. Maybe she could make you a transitional news music since mine apparently aren't good enough.
I liked it. I honestly, I don't think. I don't think. Hey, maybe she does. Maybe Rachel from Valena watches our or listens to our podcast. Hi, Rachel, if you do, welcome. But maybe George, maybe we can get her to make us a new song based on the tune that you do. Can you take this tune and turn it into a sick news transitional news song, and it'll be based on your
Yeah,
tune?
let's do that.
Maybe.
Hashtag goals.
Maybe hashtag podcast goals. My first goal. I want a theme song. I want a kick-ass theme song. That's what I want. Um,
I mean, yeah, those are hard to make.
I
I've
know.
tried.
Um, I like Valena to help us make a theme
Those
song. I like her
those are
theme
those
song.
are hard to make when you're not talented enough to play an actual
I
instrument.
know. There's too many musicians in the network to not have a theme song yet. But I'm no good at
Yeah.
music. Anyway. Today's
Hashtag
episode.
podcast goals.
Yeah, hashtag podcast goals. Um, hey, it's my birthday on Wednesday. Okay, I know we're doing the birthday show today, so but my birthday's on Wednesday. So if people want to get me a birthday gift, I'm just saying
I did.
a theme
I
song would
got
be
you a
cool.
I
Oh
got you a
yeah,
birthday gift.
for people who are watching on YouTube, I don't know if you've noticed, my camera looks nice now. You notice the niceness of it. You now notice this really bright light. But anyway, I'm still working on lighting, so if you watch on YouTube, let me know how it looks. I'm fiddling with it. It is shining right in my face. It's very bright. It's kind of giving me a headache, but I otherwise look too dark. But I have an overhead light that I use that only has one light bulb in it, so I can get more light bulbs
The-
and not use that. So,
All I can say is it's a fancy pants camera.
yep, we don't really have. I don't have a guy, a technician. I am my own technician. You know when you listen to podcasts and they have that guy who's always just like in the room, like I can't think of a good example.
Yeah.
Like a Jason We don't have a Jason.
Yeah, like technical advisor, I think
Yeah,
is what they would be.
tech guy. We don't have a tech guy. We are our own tech guy.
We're our own tech guy, and I'm
Uh,
using my phone.
um, Today's podcast, man. Today's just loosey goosey. We're Lucy and we're goosey. Today's podcast.
You can't be Lucy and Goosey. You be Lucy, I'll be Goosey.
Okay, fine. Now I want to be goosey. You be Lucy.
No, I want to be Goosey. You be
Fine.
Lucy.
But I have the goosey.
But you're loose. You're easygoing. You're good. You're Lucy. I'm
Okay.
Goosey.
Okay.
I'm silly old Goosey.
Speaking of goosey. That brings me to the sponsor of today's episode, the Goosebumps crew, and One Weekend at Horrorland. I think I played the ad before. I'm just gonna do my version of the cell. Like, this thing looks cool, guys. Like, honestly, sincerely. Like, the guest I'm most excited for, Jake hinted at it. It's Caldon. Like, it's Wolverine. It's friggin' Wolverine.
And Slappy he is, right?
And Slappy. If you're a hardcore Goosebumps fan, he's Slappy, but he's also Wolverine. And like, if that to me, boom, I was like, I'm in. I mean, there were so many steps before that, but that was a little more like,
specifically 90s cartoon Wolverine, for those who don't know.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. And like, they've got so many other cool guests involved. If you're a Goosebumps fan, like if you read the books as a kid, they've got the guy who he did the artwork for the covers. And man, I used to have one. I used to have one for like the longest time, and I don't know if I still do. But it would sit on my shelf, and there was like times where it freaked me out. I would like turn it to face it away from me. Like, the artwork is like, it's unsettling. It's creepy.
They're also gonna have candles there, which are based around the different Goosebumps. I think the smells and stuff.
Yeah, one of the vendors they will have
Stevie
is
Wicks.
Stevie Wicks candles. And yes, they are gonna have a Goosebumps crew exclusive candle that will smell like a Goosebumps book, that's also super cool.
And if you're like me and you can't necessarily afford to fly across the country, if you donate to their Kickstarter, one of the perks that you can get is you get a virtual ticket where you're going to be able to enjoy the panels, like a bunch of the different stuff that they have there virtually, which as a person who can't afford to fly places, I appreciate.
Exactly, it allows you to participate from anywhere. That's super cool. And also, if live music, Velena and Again and Forever will also be there. Each performing live music, and they're real good. Like, we keep talking about Velena's music. It's good stuff.
And aside from Wolverine, they have quite a few guests that have signed on. From what I've seen,
Tim Jacobus was the one I was just talking about earlier. That's really cool.
We have already pledged to it, and we think that you absolutely should too.
Yeah,
this is a thing we very definitely believe in.
We absolutely stand behind it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, we're gonna get into it when we move into rapid fire and the picks and whatnot this week. But I firmly discovered this week how much I fucking love Goosebumps. Like, it's so good for like just what it is, man. It's so good, and like, I think it's still, a lot of it still holds up. And I think that we've kind of lost that genre of television and storytelling where and you know what, I'll just say it now. I think I discovered I love about Goosebumps. I made a TikTok about it, but it's the absolute truth, is that it respects kids. Like, it doesn't treat kids like they're stupid. It doesn't act like it doesn't, like, when characters, it doesn't skirt around death. Like, characters die. It's like, whereas most television shows would be like, he got destroyed or he went to another universe. Goosebumps was like, no, that kid died in a fire. That kid died in a fire that they caused, and they will not be coming back to life at the end of the episode. She's dead. She's dead.
That's definitely a thing that I've noticed when it comes to just children's shows in general from the 80s and 90s versus like nowadays, where it's like, back in the day, we had some way more intense things and themes and ideas in our movies and shows than are kind of allowed to exist these days, which is fascinating.
Let's wrap up the sponsorship. So yes, we wholeheartedly believe in One Weekend at Horrorland. Even though we're in Canada, we might not necessarily be able to make it, but if you get this funded, if you help us get this funded, maybe they'll bring one to us, that we can go
That'd be
to.
cool.
And maybe they bring it to us, and like maybe, hey, I'm just saying this is we're talking podcast dreams and goals. I love to do it, not just a convention appearance, but I'd love to do a panel or like um, a live version of the podcast and have people show up and get to hang out with people in real life one day. Like that would be so cool. And stuff like that doesn't happen if you don't help us get one weekend at Horrorland, because that's the stuff. That's the springboard. This is the event that lets all the other stuff happen. So like we've backed this, we've supported, we put our support into this. You should too. The link to it is in the description. So click on it. Go to it. Even if you chuck in a buck. Like even if you put in like just a little bit. Like that helps.
Any amount that you can afford to. Obviously, we're not telling you if you can't afford to do a thing, don't go and break your bank to do this.
Yeah.
But if you can afford to, and it's something that you would
And
like to be a
the
part
thing is,
of,
it doesn't come out of your pocket now.
absolutely.
It doesn't come out of your pocket now. It only comes out of your pocket if the Kickstarter goes through. So like you can't
No,
even be
it's a
like,
pledge.
yeah, exactly. So you can't even be like, oh, it's a payday thing, because no, you put in $20, $20, boom, you get to be there virtually, and you don't have to worry about it till it takes out. You could save $1 a day and
Plus,
have
you get
that
a
ready.
poster.
Right, and the Kickstarter go. Plus, you get a poster, and the Kickstarter goes until like the end of July. So like you can before the end of July save up $20 and be there virtually and get to
$1 a day.
get to see. They've got there's all kinds of cool guests. But the best way to find out about all the cool guests, go to the Kickstarter. The link is in the description of this on Spotify, everywhere. I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm going to keep making ads. We're going to keep talking about this. You're going to get sick of hearing about it, so you might as well pledge to it.
Do it. Do it now.
But with that, we already kind of started talking about it. Let's move into the topic, the big topic this week, which it's my birthday and I'm feeling nostalgic. It's not my birthday yet. My birthday's not till Wednesday. But who celebrates their birthday midweek, right? So
by the time you people see this
it will be my birthday,
the TikTok and the YouTube shorts and all that, it will be his birthday.
Yeah, it will be
so
my
for
birthday.
All intents and purposes, it's your birthday.
By the time YouTube shows this to the 17 people in our algorithm, it'll be my birthday. Hi, Michael. Hi, Anna. And if you're listening, we're gonna talk. We'll get you on the show. That may be a sneak preview for a future guest. Hiss, ooh. That's
spoilers.
That's spoilers on my birthday episode. I'm breaking the rules. I'm revealing the future. Maybe too soon. Who knows? That might be happening. Ooh ah.
Maybe.
And we wanted to have the Goosebumps crew here to talk with us, but obviously the aforementioned Father's Day incident. They were all busy. That's cool. We understand.
Our bad.
We'll get you on. We'll talk about Goosebumps. I have strong feelings and questions about this in your relation to you guys. So I would like to have you guys on to talk about this stuff.
We will in the future.
But hey, maybe engagement. You listen to this when I turn this into a YouTube video later. Anyway, let's begin with the rapid fire. Jordan, what's your first? You know what? I'm gonna go first this time.
It's your birthday. You go first.
I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna start with as I stall, trying to find my notes app. I'm gonna start with let's get the Goosebumps stuff out of the way first. I watched some select episodes of the Goosebumps show, and what's interesting is and I did tune in. One of the Goosebumps crew was live earlier, and he kind of said this, and he echoed this sentiment of he still feels it's the best version of Goosebumps. And it is. We're going to get into it as we go through some of this stuff, but like it's quite honestly, a lot of it is scarier than the stuff that follows it. Like the Haunted Mask in the original show. I didn't watch the Haunted Mask, but the Haunted Mask in the original show, that mask is scary. It is creepy. It is upsetting. Like it every time I see it, it gives me the willies. It takes me back to a particular moment of those shows were scary. That show, this and Are You Afraid of the Dark were legitimately scary. Like, at least for
Yeah,
me,
and
I can't speak for you, but for me, they were so fucking scary.
I mean, I didn't as a young kid, I probably did, but as I've gotten older, scary. No, but I don't find horror movies generally scary.
I appreciate. It doesn't
Enter.
scare me now. I just appreciate it for like what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. And what I was gonna say for why I think the originals, and I include How You're Afraid or Are You Afraid of the Dark in this, I think part of why those hold up so well. I can't speak to the new one because I have no, I didn't see that or watch that. Um, but I think part of why the old ones hold up so well is because they used a lot of practical effects.
Yeah, yeah.
And practical effects just generally help a thing stand the test in time a
Here's
lot more than terrible 90s CGI would, for
I
example.
just also think a lot of the design, a lot of the design is just better. Like the Slappy, and we're going to talk about. There's three versions of Slappy over the course of three things today, and I think the original is the best. It's a legitimately unsettling dummy. There's just it just like it just doesn't matter which way you look at it and which way it's framed. It always looks like it's looking at you, and it always looks like it's mad at you. Like it doesn't matter. Like there's so many profile shots that are like where he's like doing like side eye, and it's like it looks like he's like I'm gonna have vague. Okay, um, I just off the bat, I love all of this stuff. So the negatives come with love, but my one thing with Slappy, which I found to be kind of funny, he never has any motivations. Like that, his character never really seems to. He like in every single iteration of him, he's got a card that they read that brings him to life, right? And
Okay.
he always is just like, I want to take control of your family, or he's like, you're my slave, but he never really indicates what he wants to do with them as slaves. He's just like, you're my slaves now, and it's like it's never really, which is fine. It's Goosebumps, like it doesn't need to be defined. Um, but it just is sort of funny, where it's just like kind of like they're never really clear about what exactly Slappy wants. He just kind of seems to like chaos, which is fun. That's fun. It makes him a fun character. But he's legitimately like a creepy dummy, and it's impressive because it's a show for kids, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is a show for
Uh,
9 year olds, theoretically.
Theoretically. And I think that's kind of the impressive thing about it is the fact that yeah, it straddles that horror line
Yeah.
while still the atmosphere of it is kind of what makes it successful when it comes to its
Yes, it
creepiness.
absolutely makes it settles it because there are moments where you're like, okay, like not that it feels dated, but you're very much like, yeah, I'm watching a show from the '90s. Um, my favorite moments are in Night of the Living Dummy 3. So I watched 3 episodes. I watched Cuckoo Clock of Doom, and then Night of the Living Part 2 and Part 3. Which fun fact, I learned this, and I didn't even know this. I didn't know that Slappy is basically Jason Voorhees. He's not the original Night of the Living Dummy. Because
Yeah, I think you mentioned that to me. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it was really interesting. So because I guess I always thought that Night of the Living Dummy 2 was Night of the Living Dummy 1 because when you're a kid, you don't really pay attention to the episode titles. But like
No.
when I went to watch this, I was like, oh, I'll watch the trilogy because obviously I knew there was a 3, so I'm like, there's 1 and 2. And I'm looking through the episodes I found online, and there isn't a Night of the Living Dummy 1, and I'm like, that's so strange. So then I googled it, and it was like, yeah, they didn't adapt the first part. I was like, oh, that's so weird. And so then it sent me down obviously Google rabbit hole. It was like, yeah, the original Night of the Living Dummy isn't Slappy. Slappy does appear in Night of the Living Dummy 1, but the story of that is there's another dummy called Mr. Wood, um, who is the Night of the Living Dummy. He becomes to life and he does bad stuff. Um,
Right.
at the end of that story, they beat Mr. Wood, and midway through that story, the very loose plot of the story is there's a girl, she gets a dummy, she has a sister, the sister gets jealous, and she gets her own dummy, and it's Slappy. And that story ends with Slappy coming to life. Um,
Interesting.
and so what's interesting is at the end of Night of the Living Dummy 2, the girl there's another girl who also has another, the whole plot of that is she has a ventriloquist dummy, and it gets replaced with Slappy. It's Slappy's newer. Um, and he comes to life at the end of Night of the Living Dummy 2 because it's Goosebumps. They all have bad endings. And he comes to life and kills Slappy at the end of Night of the Living Dummy 2, which I guess is supposed to be a callback to the first one, which I never got, like which I get now, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of fun. Um, but Night of the Living Dummy 2, I didn't think was very good. It's relative to the quality of the show. It was season one. It wasn't quite there for me. I will say, Cuckoo Clock of Doom is kind of has a horrifying ending where the kid just kind of kills his sister. Not even just kills his sister, like wipes her out of existence. Because like
because of the cuckoo clock.
Yeah, do you not remember the plot of Cuckoo Clock of Doom?
No.
Okay, I'll try to do that one, like Cole's notes version of an already short book. But very there's a kid. He's got like a tyrannical 3-year-old sister who constantly fucks with him, and his dad brings back
DW. He's got DW.
Yes, he's got a DW. Yes. Oh my god, perfect analogy. Thank you. He his dad brings home a cuckoo clock, and for whatever reason, it's one of those situations where the little girl can do no wrong, and the dad turns to her and he's like, "Don't fuck with the cuckoo clock, DW. I'll get really mad at you." And so the guy who's 12 gets the idea that if he spins the cuckoo in the cuckoo clock, it'll frame the sister. He does it, and then he wakes up the next morning and it's his 12th birthday. And then he proceeds to keep going back further and further until he's like a baby. And then he goes all the way back to when he's 3, and he turns it back. And as he's trying to turn it back, he accidentally knocks off the year 98 or whatever, the year or 88, I think, the year where his sister was born. So it made it so his sister wasn't born. And so he goes back to the present, and now he has no sister. And he's like, yeah, I'll go make her be born again eventually, someday maybe. And it's sort of implied that he never does. And I'm like, wow, that's dark. That's like really dark. Like he obliterated his sister for the crime of being 3. Like, yeah, she wasn't great. She kind of sucked, but she was 3. Like, that was her crime. And he just wiped her from existence. And his parents typically have no idea who she is. Like, no clue.
Well, of course. She never existed.
She never existed. Yeah, it's like, wow, this is really dark. And then Night of the Living Dummy 3 is genuinely, it's 2-part. I watched it in 2 parts combined into a 45-minute episode. And the first half of it, it's really, because it's 45 minutes, it gets to take its time. So it really sets an atmosphere of like, and the whole plot of it is like, there's these 2 kids and their dad is a ventriloquist, or he repairs ventriloquist dummies. And so he's got a bunch of dummies in the attic. And they're all fucking creepy, like all of them.
I was gonna say, God, that would be horrifying.
Yeah, and he's just got them set up under cloths or whatever in the attic, and they're all set up in positions in like various body positions. And it's really creepy. And the episode opens with like the girl walking up and like completely dark. She pulls it back, and they're just sitting there. It's really creepy. And so her dad finds Slappy, and he goes to repair Slappy with like glue or whatever. And in the meantime, the kid's cousin, who they hate, but like just seems like a perfectly reasonable guy. Like he's got like fears because his cousins like pranked him terrorized him the entire previous summer, and like had him wake up in the middle of like the field or whatever with like the cow, with the world's most chill cow, who like walks up and sniffs him, and then he wakes up and screams. And the cow does like oh god, were we not supposed to do that? Was that the wrong move? I did the wrong move. I'm sorry. Kind of like body language.
This is awkward. I'm sorry.
So this kid, he's just perfectly reasonable and being perfectly nice. And they're kind of like, yeah, what it's not. Like they treat him like the closest comparison I can think is what's his name? The character from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Cousin.
The one who became the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, him. Yeah, they kind of treat him like he's gonna be him, but he's just a reasonable, normal kid. Like, oh, he doesn't really seem that bad. And it's funny because I remember him being really snotty and obnoxious, and I'm like, no, he's really not that bad. They're all really not that bad.
I also would have taken Cousin Kyle from South Park.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But anyway, so he shows up and he pretends that he's like terrified of dummies, and the dummies start randomly terrorizing this kid, and like what the heck, the dummies are clearly coming to life, and I think by that, no, I don't know if they have yet. He gets Slappy and he fixes him, and I can't remember. I think they do. They read the incantation, and that's where it initially he's like got a big ass crack on his face, and he pulls him out, and now he's completely fixed and he's completely normal. And the kid's like, "Dad, you did a really good job fixing him," and I'm like, "Yeah, too good. He did what's impossible. Like the crack was too big. You would see the crack. Like you guys should be off put by how repaired he is. Like it's weird that you're not." And then yeah, so then they read the spell, and so then it turns out the big twist of the episode is that the cousin is actually not afraid of dummies, and has been faking it. He's been doing the pranks to set up the cousins because as revenge for pranking him the previous summer. And so all of these scary scenes now get like re-examine them. You're like, oh, they're not that scary. The dummy hasn't come to life, and then all of a sudden, Slappy comes to life, and he's like, oh, you like playing pranks, do you? Let's have some fun. And he starts fucking with them. And then now he sets them all against and it's really fun. And yeah, the atmosphere is so good and it's so creepy. Up until, and I sent you the video, up until it stops being a dummy and it just starts being a guy in a costume.
Yeah,
Then it's silly.
Yeah.
Then it's like there's one point where it's just two guys and like little guys fighting each other, and I'm like, the puppetry could have been done here to have the puppets. The Muppets have pulled off puppets fighting each other believably. Like you could have had this is awkward and it's making it silly. Like it makes it silly. And Goosebumps as a show, I don't think is silly very often. Campy, I heard, yes, it is campy, but it never gets silly, and that makes it silly. And it kind of I don't want to say ruin, but it undercuts what is otherwise like a
it breaks it.
Yeah, a little bit. But otherwise, no, that was really good. And sorry, I talked way too long about the Goosebumps TV show, but I really need to set that foundation for the stuff that comes later.
That rapid fire wasn't very rapid.
No, I had to lay the foundation for Goosebumps generally because you're going to be seeing a lot of Goosebumps today, and I got a lot of stuff to say about all of them.
Almost like it was supposed to be a theme.
It was supposed to be a theme, but the theme remains. The theme remains because we are celebrating Goosebumps to promote the Kick-Ass Kickstarter.
Indeed.
That was always the plan.
Indeed. And so that leads into my first rapid fire, which kind of fits the theme a little bit. It's Casper.
Yeah, it's gothic horror. I feel like it feels 90s, horror related. 90s horror. That feels
the 90s Casper movie. I think it's
a movie the people of that movie, the creators of that movie felt was a movie for children. Because Casper the Friendly Ghost was a character for children.
I argue it is not. It
is not. It's not. That's a scary movie. I would know. I was a kid when that movie came out. It was so scary.
And like, not only was the like, I'm lumping the game into this one too because it's like I remember this movie more because of that game than I do the movie itself.
That's
the PlayStation 1.
I remember that. I remember them equally, but I definitely know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, that game was atmospheric as hell. It was also creepy.
But we have Toon Talk 2.0 is here. It says, "Let's go."
Okay.
We're
going.
So yeah, that's a thing.
That's a thing. Hello, Toon Talk 2.0.
I remember, the Casper PlayStation 1 game, which just I'm never going to forget.
It was creepy.
When I just also have a nostalgia for it because it was one of the few games that I remember my mom kind of engaging with. She brought home cheat codes for it that for years and years and years we couldn't find it. Like I couldn't find it again.
Yeah, no.
And
it was like I remember this. I know it's a real cheat. I know
it's a thing. I remember it. I just don't remember how to activate it.
Yeah.
Because it was like a specific set of instructions that you have to do.
I think it was like you had to go into the corner and push it.
To go into the corner, you had to press like L1, R2, L2, and then like be at the top, and then you'd fly over the walls.
Yep, and then you got to fly over the wall.
Anyways, not the point. The movie. We were talking about the movie. There's a lot of things in it, like language, like where the lady, the one evil lady, calls herself a bitch. Where I'm like, I feel like my mother probably didn't. Maybe that's where I learned that word.
Probably. We watched these movies. Yeah, man. The thing that scared me. We were talking about it earlier off camera. But the thing I remember, it's when he's looking when I think it's Stretch goes into him. I want to say. I'm I'm also
The
paying attention if anyone's talking to me in Discord. It doesn't look like anyone is.
Toon Talk 2.0 is virus. And it says, I think Casper is not for kids. He needs to be arrested for pedo. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag sex offender. Ha 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 ha. Little white kid luring into kids' room. Not good. Ha 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 ha. BTW virus here.
Hey, virus. All right.
Okay. I'm not sure how to respond to that one.
Disruptive.
But
I'm
anyway.
kidding. Good love.
Yeah, there's I mean, just the fact that like he when he describes how he died, Casper describes how he dies, going out into the snow and doing sledding and like freezing to death or hypothermia or something he
Yeah.
catches.
Yeah.
Or the fact that the ghostly trio takes out the therapist dude for like to hang out and he ends up a ghost.
Yeah.
They
Well,
killed him, like he dies.
that was like a punchline joke for years. Was how did Casper the Ghost die? And it was, nobody. I think Robot Chicken did a sketch about it, but yeah, it was a joke, and it was like this movie goes, yeah, he died of hypothermia, sad and alone. Like,
And his dad continues
it's
like
dark.
makes a life-giving thing to bring his dead son
Yeah,
back.
there's an undercurrent of
His dad is essentially Frankenstein.
yeah, there's an undercurrent of this dad had a lifelong obsession of that he never fulfilled of bringing his son back to life that he died over. Yeah, it's really dark. It's a
Like
really
it's a
dark
really
movie.
kind of a fucked up movie when you
Like
start to analyze it.
Casper the Friendly Ghost, like he's cartoons from like the 30s or 40s, and they're fun, and they're lighthearted and they're silly. This was not.
This was not.
Let's move on, Jordan.
That's really all I have to say about that movie. That's tangentially related to Ghostbusters. Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. It is. It's a ghost. I can see the connection. So
it's really the only one.
For next one for me, Jack Black Goosebumps movie. This movie's fun. It's another thing I'm gonna bring up. I'm gonna call back to this later but this one really it nails being a Goosebumps story in my opinion because it doesn't make any sense. It underexplains everything and it really doesn't matter. Like so much of that movie doesn't make any sense. Okay, so R.L. Stine has the ability to bring the characters from the book to life, right? That's the
Yeah, because of his magic typewriter.
Right, but is it the typewriter or is it does he have the powers? Is it him? It's implied that it's him. But he needs the typewriter.
It's the typewriter because he can't do it without the typewriter.
But okay, so then I'm gonna do a CinemaSins thing where I just ask a bunch of questions. But like,
if it was just him, then he would have been able to sit down at any computer, and they wouldn't have needed that specific typewriter.
Right. But then okay, why did he move to the one town that happened to have the magic typewriter with which that he needed to create new Goosebumps characters? Why would he move to the town that had that if he was concerned about the books opening?
Because he's possessed and some force is bringing him to it.
It feels like at one point. Also, the kid character is completely pointless. I realized that this time he has nothing to do with the story because all of the monsters' motivation is Slappy's motivation is they want to get R.L. Stine for some reason. They want R.L. Stine. So he's the thing all the bad guys are after. And the arc of the movie is his. He's the one who has the big hero moment at the end where he realizes he needs to be a hero or whatever. And there's lots of like mention to his backstory about how he was like this troubled, depressed youth. So it just feels like at one point this movie was about R.L. Stine, and some executive went, "Yeah, nobody gives a shit about R.L. Stine. R.L. who now?" And when put a kid in there, and then they just kind of glommed a kid into there.
I mean, yeah, they definitely Percy Jacksoned it, or Harry Potter, or Harry Pottered it, or what's the third one?
They were like, yeah.
Hunger Games did, or that one where they're in like a post-apocalyptic maze. Lab Runner, I think is what it's called. Not Lab Runner, Maze Runner.
Maze Runner.
That's the one.
Yeah,
it's like they wanted to turn it into one of those where it's
definitely wants to be a franchise, but like it's weird. It's like they wanted to build the franchise around Jack Black, but he feels really underutilized in that movie. And when he's there, his stuff is great. He's got this really funny back and forth with the character Champ, who's really funny. Your name's Champion, great stuff.
I remember liking that movie. Like,
it's
thinking
fun
it
and it's cute and it's harmless, but it's like we talked about this with Michael last week. You know, the refrigerator logic, where you're like, wait, because like there's the big twist where like where the girl is the ghost girl from the book, where it's funny. It's a funny kind of a funny reference because like in the book she doesn't realize she's a ghost, but in the movie,
so we got you a camera. Now we need to get me a camera now.
Right? There's a funny there is a funny joke though. That's the last thing I have to say about this. Where R.L. Stein does a walking cameo where he's Professor Black, and he's Jack Black, the drama teacher.
That's funny. That's a funny one.
I completely missed it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about when I get to the stuff I hadn't seen. It feels like a Goosebumps story. Whereas like you're like when you really think about this story doesn't make any sense. But that's where I'm like Slappy in the show doesn't have a clear motivation, and this one it's like he just wants chaos. He wants R.L. Stein is the allows him to create chaos, and he just wants chaos. But yeah, there's this whole like subplot of how like R.L. Stein is Slappy and Slappy is R.L. Stein that just kind of comes out of nowhere in the third act, where it's like, yeah, this feels like this was probably something originally, and they cut it. It has that kind of vibe. Probably. It had that kind of vibe this time. But no, it's fun. I
wouldn't be surprised.
It's a fun movie otherwise, and yeah, it's funny. It's a genuinely funny movie. I had a good time. It wasn't as frustrating as the other one. That's it. That's all. Goosebumps
1. My second rapid fire is about the littlest little in New York, Stuart Little.
Stuart Little. Oh, you mean the movie where instead of adopting a real human child, that family adopts a mouse? Yeah, they just adopted a mouse. Very strange. Was it because he was little? Was that
weird? Not just a mouse, a weird freak anthropomorphic one, which they never acknowledged.
With the voice of a grown adult. With the voice of a very
which they never acknowledged the fact that he's just a weird freak mutant anthropomorphic rat. Because in the original book, he wasn't.
He was just a rat. A mouse. He was just a mouse.
Wasn't it in the original book that he was just a really small person?
No, I'm pretty sure he's always a mouse.
I feel like that's not true. But I'm too lazy to look it up.
I know, I'm pretty sure the thing is he's always a mouse, and the bit is that he's a mouse.
Anyway, I remember it being. I remember reading somewhere that it was that he had like rat or mouse-like qualities, but not that he was an actual mouse. Anyway, we're getting away from the point.
They made a show.
We're getting away from the point. It doesn't matter. In this, he's a mouse who will at best live for 3 years and then die, and they'll have to get another one anyway.
He's an anthropomorphic mouse. They live longer.
You're right. He'll probably live for 8 years.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they never explain. It's one of those things where like the more you put anthropomorphic animals alongside regular people, the more you go, yeah, man. Why do they talk? Like you need a line to acknowledge why they talk. And it's weird because you're like,
especially because in this, he talks to Snowball and other cats. Right. So are the other cats speaking the human tongue, and they actively choose not to speak it to the humans, or is Stuart Little speaking animal, and he could be some sort of Dr. Dolittle in this world where he's capable of speaking to both humans and animals, and is being a dick by not doing so?
I mean, yeah, is he a bastion of interhuman-animal communication?
Which they reinforce in the second one, which I didn't watch, but I just remember there being a bird that he talks to.
Yeah, well, I know the second one is I think
and a falcon.
Which one has the fake parents? Is that this one?
That's this one.
So they also talk. So do all mice talk? Like
and then again they double down on it in the sequel, because in the sequel again,
the rules
from
here.
what I remember, from what I remember, there's the little yellow bird that talks, and there's the falcon which also talks in the second
I
one.
honestly don't remember. I barely remember the first one. I
That's
gotta be
that's
honest. I thought the
that's
parents
all.
thing was from the second one.
I did too, but no, it was from the first one.
I was like,
Um,
isn't the first one just about the family? I don't remember the fake family being in the first one, but yeah, clearly I was wrong.
the cats want the cats don't like the Snowball has a mouse for a master, so they force the rats to fake being his parents to get him out of the house.
Right. I remember now. I do
But
recall that.
it's cute. It's fun. It's fine. I can see why I liked it as a kid. Um, the George's reactions are kind of the best part of it, where he's
Yeah.
like, "I don't have a brother. You guys got us a mouse. Like, what are you talking about?
That's not a human
Like,
family member. That's a pet. You've got yourself a pet.
you got
You're
us a
being weird
pet."
about it, man.
Like his reactions to everything are kind of just our react any
Yeah.
adult that's watching it reaction to it, and I love it and I'm down for
And
it
then,
and it's
like
great.
5 years later, he's talking to his therapist about that brief time his parents gaslit him into thinking that he had a mouse for a brother. Remember, there was like 3 year point where they convinced me our pet mouse was my brother. It was so
And
weird.
that he
It was so
and that he
weird.
was talking
And
and
then
that
he
he
was
was talking.
talking. It was like that, and then and no, you know, no, and then it turned out that there was a gas leak, and we were just hallucinating, and there was no mouse. And there was just a dead regular mouse that we were just talking to for 5 years.
But that's Stuart Little.
That's Stuart Little. My second to last one is also Goosebumps adjacent in that it comes from the '90s, and it's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the first movie, um, which is uh, like as much as I said that the Power Rangers 2017 one is not a Power Rangers movie, that is a Power Rangers movie, man. That like yeah, they make some choices to like the suits and like how it looks, and it's like ugh, it's like kind of ugly looking. Like I don't love the movie suits, but like at least it still looks like the suits. At least it still looks mostly right.
Ivan Ivan Ooze.
Ivan Ooze is phenomenal. Like the actor playing I he that for
He is
however much I shat
so great.
on Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa, Ivan Ooze is like phenomenal. He's having a great time. He's hamming it up. He's having so much fun. He's like, you know what? I have to sit in the makeup chair for like 5 hours. I'm dialing it up to 100. Like I am like at 1,010% the entire time, and it's amazing. Like it's and like even it's not just them sitting around talking about their feelings. It's like even when they're not in the Power Rangers suits, they're doing Power Rangers stuff. They're like, yeah, they're in the Ninjetti costumes and like they're fighting rock monsters, and it's like, yeah, that's a Power Rangers monster. Like, yeah, you're doing a different monster that's not like a putty or whatever, but like it looks like it belongs to the Power Ranger universe. Like this is a Power Rangers movie. Like,
But I will defend the more recent one in the fact, and this is the only time you'll hear me do this, in the fact that this movie has the benefit that it had like however many seasons of the show to build up to this
two
movie,
two
so it could
seasons.
just so it okay 2 seasons of build up
Yeah.
of setup and showing how things work, so that when they got to this movie, A, they could raise the stakes, and B, they could just be Power Rangers. They don't have to explain what Power Rangers are.
See, it's funny that you say that because one of the more interesting things about this movie is they had to fight for that. Like initially, those costumes, the reason why they looked the way they do was they weren't going to have the visors. It was there's actual pictures of them. You can look it up. You would just see because they wanted to be able to see the actors' faces. So it's just like the Power Rangers helmet, and you could just see Jason David Frank's face. So
Yeah.
like they had to like fight for the stuff that makes it Power Rangers, and that's what that this movie is the better for it. Is it a good movie? Like in terms of movies, no, but it's a fun movie, and yeah, it's like yeah, it feels like Power Rangers. Like it just does. Like
Yeah.
and it's just so absurd. Like yeah, they're skydiving at the beginning of the movie because they're like, hey, we have like $1,000 left over in the budget. What would you like to use it for? Should we skydive? Yeah, let's
Let's
skydive.
let's just go skydiving, guys.
There's a and then this was pointed out to me, but once it was, I never noticed it. There's like one scene with them talking, and then it immediately leaps to they're like doing rollerblading, and it's another music scene. And you're like, yeah, man, cool, I guess. But like the fighting, like it looks like Power Rangers. It feels like Power Rangers, and like in terms of a Power Rangers movie, it's a good Power Rangers movie. As a movie, it's not a very good movie. But like you have to be able to say that about your nostalgia. You have to. I think that's going to be my thing here. Maybe that's my theme. Like you have to be able to be critical about the things that you're nostalgic about because no, not all of it holds up. Jordan, what's your next thing?
My next thing is
Actually, sorry.
Atlanta.
I did one more thing about Power Rangers. Sorry. The 2017 movie is absolutely missing Bulk and Skull. They're amazing. Sorry, go on.
Atlantis. I
That movie's
watched
good.
Atlantis.
That movie's good.
I like that movie.
I felt bad because that's the beginning of. We talked about this yesterday, but you know that like downward spiral in like early 2000, where like it ends with Barnyard back in action or whatever. This is where
We
it
don't speak.
begins.
We don't speak about that one.
This is where that begins, where it's like this movie was really expensive, and I think did it not tank or did it like do okay? Like it did do super well. Like they thought this was going to be a franchise. That's why they commissioned that series.
I'm not sure. I don't have the article open for that because it's not a main pick. It's just
We'd
a
love to
rapid
know
fire.
because I'm pretty sure that one bombed. I don't think it did well.
I don't know. All I know is that it is another one that has Michael J. Fox, and I really like it.
Stunning animation. It's really pretty. I think it's one of Disney's more underrated movies.
I agree, and you know, funny we talk about live action reboots. I wouldn't mind a live action. This is one that I think would work for a live action reboot.
It's been up and down. It's been happening, not happening for years. It pops into my newsfeed like constantly.
Like, yeah, there's certain ones that I think would be interesting, and it would be interesting to see them try and take on the visuals from this in a live action way.
I want them to get darker. I want it to get darker.
There's a lot of things I would want from it, but
I think it could happen.
Overall, though, I enjoy this one. It's fun. It's simple. It's fun to talk conspiracies, and this movie is one of the best conspiracies of Atlantis. I love talking about Atlantis.
If I'm Disney, I would do a live action one to see if maybe I could reframe like the idea because conspiracies have this negative image now, and it'd be kind of fun to see them try to be like, hey, let's reframe. You remember the fun conspiracies? Remember the fun harmless ones?
Yeah. Here's a fun one. Let's do a fun one.
Yeah. You do that to try and bring that idea back, maybe.
But I don't have much more to say about it. We've all seen Atlantis, probably most of us. Good chunk of us.
It's a beautifully animated movie that I'm almost entirely positive didn't do well, which is why they started to decline in quality in animation.
I absolutely have a nostalgia for.
Oh yeah, I remember the trailer for it.
Do you remember? I was gonna say, do you remember the PlayStation 1 game?
I do remember the PlayStation 1 game. We never beat it. We almost beat it.
We never beat it, but I remember it. It's one of those ones that was hard, and I absolutely remember it. Maybe
early shovelware.
Maybe one day I'll see if I can get an emulator of it.
But I absolutely remember that game. It was really hard. No, yeah, it's a really good movie, and yeah, it really wanted to be a franchise. They were really confident in it, and that's what led to that movie.
And they had I was gonna say they had a backdoor pilot or whatever for a show.
One of those first 3 episodes they released it as a movie, and the movie didn't do
well.
Yeah.
But what's your next rapid fire there, Justin?
My next rapid fire is I don't have another rapid fire. That's it.
Okay. Then I will do one more and cut the other one.
Pick your best one.
I was just gonna say, my last one is gonna be Yes Man.
I don't know. I would argue that's too soon to be nostalgic.
I don't agree. It was 2008. I was in high school.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I guess I don't know. I mean, yeah, I suppose.
I mean, okay. We'll go a little bit older then, and with Bruce Almighty.
Okay, even then, I don't know. I don't know. Like, you're right. Where's the cutoff for nostalgia? Like, where do you cut off?
Bruce Almighty, I was in grade 6.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, yeah, I guess that's technically childhood. Yeah,
I mean, yes, absolutely, that's childhood.
That's a movie.
That's elementary school.
That's a good movie. I like that movie.
I like that movie. It's one that when I did Jennifer Aniston, I really wanted to pick that one, but I'm like, that's a Jim Carrey movie.
That's a Jim Carrey vehicle.
And he is amazing in it. Morgan Freeman is great in it too.
Yeah.
And I feel like that one probably pissed some people off, but Um, but
No, I think they like it. I feel like they like it because it doesn't portray God negatively. If anything, he's right
I
in the
mean,
end.
it probably depends on where you are in the world.
I
Anyway, we
mean,
won't touch on that.
Morgan Freeman tends to be the default idea of God in most people's heads. So, but I
Um,
get your point.
but
Mm.
um,
You knew I should have
the
done that.
idea the idea of one person trying to take on that role and ultimately failing because what human could have the power of God and not given to the
Right.
temptation of making everything in their life better.
What's funny is that
Um,
movie was like a surprise massive hit, and they wanted that's another one of those they wanted it to be a franchise so badly, and Jim Carrey does not do sequels, but they really wanted him to, and I did. That was another one that Bruce Almighty 2 kept in and out. It was happening, it wasn't. It happened, it wasn't, and that's
I
when
don't know how you do a sequel with Jim Carrey in that
I
one.
can't remember what I don't think I've ever heard what it was going
Like
to
they
be.
ended up making the spin-off, which was Evan
But
Almighty,
he's been
but
in very that was going to be Bruce Almighty 2, and then it got rewritten into Evan Almighty, and it was I think maybe he was going to be the one who did the Noah. But no, that wasn't always a spinoff. That became a spinoff
interesting.
because they went, oh shit, we have this movie that I think we need to make, and we need to do something, and it turned into Evan Almighty. But no, that started off as Bruce Almighty too. And then after that one came out, they were sure that it was going to be a sequel, and Steve Carell I just don't think he had the star power at the time. Maybe I don't know if he was on The Office at that point, but it just didn't do well. Maybe because nobody was
Interesting.
interested in
In,
Bruce Almighty that didn't have Bruce Almighty. I don't know, but it just
I
didn't
mean,
do
because
well.
yeah, he's the entire backbone of that. Plus,
Yeah,
if you're taking the Evan that was in Bruce Almighty, that's why
just two completely
I
different
like
characters.
yeah, like I like Evan Almighty, but he's a completely different character in that than he is
Yeah,
in especially because like he quits working in the media to go and be a politician,
but
like
yeah, you could see
kind of a complete change.
you could see the place though where that could have been Bruce could have been there, and then the gag could have been that Bruce every sequel he's a different biblical figure, which is I'm guessing where they would have gone with this. Like I don't know where else you go with this franchise, but yeah, no, Bruce Almighty was like a massive surprise hit, and so they're like, well, we need to do something, and yet Jim Carrey wouldn't commit, which makes it all the more funny to me that Sonic the Hedgehog is the one where he's like, yeah, I'm going to do 2 sequels. I don't think he's ever done 2 sequels. Like this would be the
Uh,
first.
the
This would be the first time.
the only sequels that I can think of that he was in are Dumb and Dumber, um, and
Oh right, that was the
obviously
one. Yeah, I forgot about that.
obviously Ace Ventura.
That was the last one. That's the one that. That's the one that.
Um,
That's why he doesn't do
but other
sequels.
than that,
That's the reason why he doesn't do sequels. Is because of Ace Ventura 2. It got like lambasted by critics, and it did really poorly, and that's why he doesn't do sequels. And I think it was Dumb and Dumber 2. Was Dumb and Dumber 2 the first one? Yes, it was. That was a big deal that he came back to do that because Jim Carrey doesn't do sequels. And then Sonic 2 was why that was a big deal because Jim Carrey doesn't do sequels. So I think this is the first time he's come back for a second sequel for a third one. I don't think he's ever done a third
interesting, very interesting.
one. Which yeah, it's like
But
man,
yeah,
he
that
really loves Sonic the Hedgehog.
apparently he must be a big fan, or they're paying him a lot of money.
Or they're paying him a lot of money. Yeah, this it'll be interesting to see because this does feel like a. He said I retired, and they went, "How much money do we have to back up to your doorstep? How thick does the briefcase have to be?" Oh, I'm sorry. We can do it via Cash App now. We don't do it in literal cash. Weird. Um.
But
Anyway, anyway,
that's my last rapid fire.
cool. Yeah, it's my birthday. I'm gonna go first, and it's my birthday and it's Father's Day, and my two I had seen. Um, I went older. Um, and maybe I don't know. Max dropped in real quick. But if he's still watching, I went a little older for mine, so I was hoping he would be familiar with this stuff. But this was recommended to me by these movies were recommended to me and shown to me by my dad. Like my dad is the reason why I've seen these movies, and he's the reason why I love these movies because I like this next one in particular. I just remember watching it over and over and over again at his place, and that Short Circuit. And I wanted to watch the second one, and I kind of regret it because I had the time to, and I didn't for brevity. But I should have just for fun because that movie's really fun and that movie's really cute. And we need to address the elephant in the room up front. Um, and there is some racism in there. We have to address the racism up front. The people who made the movie say it is regrettable. They find it regrettable. The person who plays the character says he regrets it, and it makes the movie age poorly in one regard.
It was a different time.
And not to his defense, because he has said he has no defense, but it wasn't like a stereotype in the sense that, like, it was a stereotype, but it wasn't malicious. Like, he said that he went to India, like he spent a month in India, like he spent like weeks with a dialect coach, like he learned everything about India and a particular area of India, like culturally. He really studied it and really like became this character. And he spent like all sorts of time in makeup and like really worked on like presenting this character properly. So I wouldn't say, but I'm not Indian, so like it's not my place to say this, but like I don't feel it's like an offensive. It's not like blackface, if that makes any sense. I'm hoping it does. And what's interesting about it, and what makes it bad, in my opinion, and this is where the but comes, because you knew there was a but coming. But the character, fun fact, and this will not surprise you, Jordan, was originally white.
I mean, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So picture, but what makes it interesting is once you know that, and you see, because he has this really weird arc that like feels really weird, where he's like really horny and he keeps making really sexually aggressive moves, and they feel weird for like an immigrant to do. It just, I don't know why, it just doesn't feel. Whereas if you're like, oh, it's like a grad student who's like a young 20-something white guy, and he's friends with Newton Crosby, who's already kind of a schmutz, that makes sense. Like those characters align if he's like a white grad student, right?
Yeah.
And so when you
watch a little bit more, yeah.
When you watch this movie with that idea, you're like, yeah, all of his lines reflect that. They reflect the fact that he was probably once a white guy, and so that's why they cast Fisher Stevens, the guy who plays him. But it was when he was watching, I can't remember what it was, but the writer or director, he was watching this, I think it was Seinfeld or something, where it was like, oh, there was some disagreement, cultural disagreement between a French guy and some other guy, and he was like, oh, he wanted to include this element of like cultural difference between these two characters as like a contrast. But it's like, yeah, but he didn't have to be Indian, did he? He could have been one of the white countries that was culturally different. He could have been a French guy. Like it's just you put a lot of effort into making him an Indian guy, is what I'm saying.
Well, so my thing is that it was written to be for a white guy.
Yeah,
and
he was a white character,
and they cast a white guy.
Yeah,
and so then they decided to just completely 180 and do a thing that doesn't work.
And then instead of recasting, like you should have been like, oh, we want to make this character a character Indian. Cool. Pay the guy out and then hire an Indian actor. Like I just don't believe that even in the 1980s, there's too many stopgaps of like, yeah, of course you find it regrettable. People are being like, yeah, that's really bad. And like the reason why the actor came to the like realization that it was bad was the comedian Aziz Ansari. You know him.
I recognize the name.
You know him. Voices. You know, he's voiced 1,000 characters. You know, but he's an Indian comedian. That's all you really know for the purposes of this bit.
He's the one. He was in 30 Minutes or Less, right?
Yes. He's in 30 Minutes or Less.
Yeah,
that guy. He wrote an essay. At least I'm pretty sure it's him. The guy had the same last name if it's not him. And if someone correct me if I'm wrong. But he wrote an article where he interviewed the guy who played Benji. And the whole premise of it was I didn't know that this guy wasn't Indian for like 20 years. And neither did we. Like, it wasn't until it was a clip from Friends where the guy who plays Benji shows up, and he's Phoebe's boyfriend. He shows up, And I remember you. I think you were there, and I was like, "Why does he look so familiar?" And it was driving me crazy. I'm like, "Why does he look familiar? He looks so familiar." And I could not figure out why. Normal white guy. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And so Google, I go, "He's in Short Circuit. Who is he in Short Circuit? He's the brown guy in Short Circuit." Oh no. And yeah, it's not great. So we've gotten that out of the way. Okay. That having been said, this is a fun movie, but like I really realized the robots are kind of terrible. They're kind of not very good. Like in terms of an actual combat scenario, even in that decade, and this is a very 1980s movie, but even in the 1980s, like these like you would have to drop in, like, to be clear, these things are set up in their initial introduction as being manned by like 3 or 4 guys on computers. So in order to operate them, you're gonna have to drop those computers into active combat and keep those what are essentially civilians safe, who are operating. They're not even unmanned; they're manned. Like like they kind of can operate independently, but within a certain distance, and they still require monitoring. So like they're not very good.
I mean, you want to talk about an example of their inefficiencies when it comes to their combat prowess. And I'm jumping ahead to the sequel here, but there's literally a scene in the sequel where the two of the thugs use a crowbar and pull him down onto his side and just beat, like, with an axe
Beat him
and
with
a
an axe,
crowbar,
yeah.
and savagely beat him to death.
In a scene
Like,
that's
okay, yeah,
really
sure.
upsetting.
It was so upsetting.
Yeah.
I remember that scene being so upsetting as a kid. Anyways, maybe if he had had his laser attached, yeah, maybe he would have been. But
Maybe
no,
this
once he was on the ground, he
laser
kind of
has a
was,
long
you
wind up.
know.
It takes him a bit to heat it up. Like there's several moments in this movie where like 5 or 6 guys with guns rock up and just shoot him to death. And it's like yeah, that I mean, granted he has developed self-awareness and outsmarts them, but he doesn't survive by his durability. He survives by his brains, right? So it's like,
He also is not actively trying to kill them. To be
right?
fair,
And it's what's funny is like you're like, yeah, there's a really funny line. Okay, how many are there in total? Number 5 is the last
of
one,
the
right? Yeah, of the robots.
no, I want to say there's more because there's a certain point where I'm gonna say 5, but I want to say there's more.
Because I paid attention in and I didn't listen to their numbers. But when they go to get him and he's in the truck and he won't get out, he has number 1 getting out of the truck. He's like, "Come on, number 1." Um, and then at the end, when they set them on him, I wasn't really paying because I've seen this movie so many times. I don't.
Well, I
No
know.
phone test. No
You're
phone test.
now
But
you're saying what you're saying makes sense because, yeah, there's number one who he defeats early in the movie, and then when they send the three more after him, and he does the Three Stooges. Those are kind of the last of them, I
oh,
think.
so wait. So when the 3 that go after him at the end, that's 2, 3, and 4. I thought number 1 was among them.
I think it might be that the one that they bring out early. I'm not sure. I didn't just
Yeah, the
watch it.
only one the only one that I remember hearing get name checked is number 1 when he backs him out of the truck. So yeah, you're right. Maybe he does. And to be fair, I was kind of only half paying attention for some of this. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he does. Maybe number 1 gets destroyed there, and it is 2, 3, and 4, and that would make sense because when he turns them into the Three Stooges, I was like, wait, there's only 3, and theoretically there should be 4 others. And I'm like, yeah, I saw because so there's a line. The reason why I say that is
according
Stephanie.
according to Google, there's 5.
Oh, okay. So then, good. I'm gonna make fun of Stephanie then because she has a really stupid question where he backs out. He's backing out number 1. She goes, "Oh, how many of these guys are there?" Or other Stephanie. 3 at this point because you've seen 2 of them. At least 3. He's number 5, Stephanie.
I mean, at least 4 others. But to be fair, oh, are you still there?
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm here.
Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Hello?
That's-
Okay, because you just cut out. Your video is gone, and it says you have 1 bar.
Oh no! Can you hear me?
You're back now.
Okay. Let's
Um,
rewind. Let's rewind.
in Stephanie's defense, in Stephanie's defense, he's number 5, but for all she know, there's like 95 others.
I guess I don't know. It still felt like a stupid question. No, I mean that's how I would have. I guess maybe my point is, if I were Benji, because that's who she was asking, I would have retorted with, "There's at least 4 others." Like that would have been a quippy line. Um, and then the other my other point, the other funny line, um, um, so the big point of this movie is it's the 1980s, right? So computers are simple, right? They can't do much. I mean, there's
yeah,
the line, they don't feel sad, they don't
that's
feel
kind of
happy,
yeah.
they just write programs.
That's kind of what makes these robots a big deal.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the kind of the first time we're seeing artificial intelligence. But there's a point where after where number 5 escapes, where they've got the on the news and Stephanie's being interviewed, and they're like, one of the interviewers asks her, "Did you get molested?" And she's like, "No, he's not that kind of robot," implying that there is a molesting robot out there, that someone has programmed a robot to molest people. Like that's what it did, because that's what computers that's what machines did then. They did a mechanical thing.
They had sex robots, you know.
Not that kind of robot. Um, but yeah, no, it's very cute. It's very fun. It also tricked me into thinking that Saturday Night Live is a good movie.
Yeah, it's got the dancing.
There's so many scenes in that movie from Saturday Night Live, and you're like, oh, it's just a cute movie where people dance. It's not a cute movie where people dance. I hate that movie. It's a bad movie.
That's fair. That's
Still
not what
bitter
it's okay,
about it.
Justin.
Bitter
It's
about it.
okay, Justin. That's not what we're here to
I have
talk about, and
negative.
it can't hurt
I
you
have
anymore.
negative nostalgia towards it. It's like
We're here to talk.
It's like the opposite of Grease, which I have positive nostalgia about.
It's anti-stalgia.
But no, it's just kind of funny how like the funniest part about there's so many things I love about this movie, but I love how like it kind of saw the future in the sense that this movie treats the notion of machines like this in the army as ridiculous. It's like, oh, these guys are bad and they programmed a bad robot that would like absolutely hinder us in the army. Um, and it's like they put machines like this in the army. Like they're perhaps less cute and more functional, but like yeah, they put saint machines, they put drones, they put that stuff in the army. And I just thought it was like, yeah, in the 80s they thought that the idea of that was ridiculous, and they went that way.
The 80s predicted the future.
Yeah. I just thought that was really interesting. And do I have a final thought? Remember when Steve Gutenberg was a thing? Um, um,
So the real question is, was this nostalgia-rific?
it was absolutely nostalgic. Oh man, there's a bit of trivia. Oh, there's a video game. I found that out.
Wait,
It's a shitty little Atari
wait.
game.
There is?
There absolutely is, yeah.
Huh. Neat.
They've been trying to remake this for eons. There's like
It's
3 or
one of
4
those.
attempts at it.
It's one of those timepiece ones that I don't think you could do it.
Well, at one point they said they were going to remake it and he was going to look the same. Here's what I would do. It's about AI. And instead of a robot becoming alive, um, it's an AI, and he slowly develops awareness, whatever, and then he builds himself a body, and then
but that's just Terminator.
And then yes, but you do a fun family friendly version of it, and then you do it where like midway through the movie he builds himself a body, and then the first body he builds is the original body. It's like a fun reference, and then he has a fun new body. That's how you do it, and it's the same because that way you maintain the same themes of like intelligence that exists, but it has to be like more than like I don't know how to put it. It's kind of like, yeah, it has to be like, oh, digital life, kind of similar to like Tron Legacy, where it's like not just, it's more than artificial intelligence. It's just like a different kind of intelligence kind of direction.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Like that's how you do the like, oh, it's a personality. And then yeah, you do a cute robot. That's how you do it. That's how you do it today. Because then you say something about AI, which is a really present topic. Clearly, drones was a really present topic in the 80s. I've been stalling. There's one other thing. I don't remember.
My ear just started ringing.
Nope, that's it. That's all I have. I think that's it. That's all I have to say about Short Circuit. Jordan, what's your first one?
My first one is Galaxy Quest. Never give up. Never surrender.
I'm really disappointed. This is another one that Jake, we're gonna have to talk about Galaxy Quest sometime.
Yeah, this was one that I picked based on the people that I thought were coming.
Yeah, which is again. This feels really snippy. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be.
I'm mad at Justin. I'm not mad at any of you guys.
Yeah. I'm mad at myself.
But it is absolutely one that I have a lot of nostalgia for. That my dad showed me when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Because he had a deep love for Star Trek, and this is a very much a love letter.
Star
It's
Trek
got
approachable.
Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, uh, so many big actors.
Yeah, to me, it reminds me a lot of the Orville.
Yeah,
Where it's like it's a really good. If you're like, hey, do you want to like a Star Trek thing, but not commit to liking Star Trek? Like that's what Galaxy Quest is, and it's great.
yeah,
It's
pretty
so good.
much.
It's so much fun.
It pokes fun at so many of the tropes of Star Trek,
For
where it's
sure.
like you have the Sigourney Weaver who's she's like, I have one job on this ship. It's dumb and it's stupid, but I'm gonna do it. Which is reading, like saying what the machines say and stuff. And a guy who is essentially red shirt in the show, he's like, yeah, do you know my last name? No, you don't, because I'm just here to die.
You're a
So many
guy,
funny
guy.
parts.
Tony Shalhoub, who's just chilled out the whole time. Apparently, there's a cut subplot where he was just gonna be stoned the whole time and just think that the whole thing was like a drug induced like hallucination, and that's why he's super easygoing the whole time because he was supposed to be just super baked.
That's really funny. Other than that, I'm just reading. I'm looking through the wiki real quick to see if there's anything interesting that.
Apparently, here's a fun fact I can tell you while you're thinking of something. Apparently there's
same Rainn Wilson. Sorry, I'm just reading something.
There's
okay, that's an interesting. I can say, Galaxy Quest was the first feature film debut for both Justin Long and Rainn Wilson, the same Rainn Wilson from The Office.
I did not know that, but yeah, fun fact about this is apparently the Star Trek movies, there's like some sort of alleged curse where like every odd Star Trek movie, like every odd numbered Star Trek movie is bad. And apparently it perfectly aligns up until the new ones. But if you include Galaxy Quest, it perfectly aligns. If you consider Galaxy Quest to be a Star Trek movie, which a lot of people do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's quite popular with Star Trek fans.
Yeah, it's good.
At 2013 at the 2013 Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, Galaxy Quest received enough support in a Star Trek film ranking to be included with the 12 Star Trek films that had been released at the time.
Supposedly they're making a second one.
Apparently it was ranked the 7th best Star Trek film.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. It's again nice and approachable. You feel like, yeah, I kind of want to understand Star Trek without actually having to watch Star Trek. So I feel I feel the exact same way about the Orville. Like cannot speak highly enough of the Orville. Do you have anything else to say about Galaxy Quest?
Apparently Patrick Stewart was originally resistant to watching it, but Jonathan Frakes rang him up and was like, "You don't want to miss this. It's on Saturday night in full theater," and he did and found it brilliant.
Interesting. I know what I want them to do if they do.
Will Wheaton loved it.
Galaxy Quest 2. What I want them to do. What I want them to do for Galaxy Quest 2. I want them to do Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I want it to be where, like, Tim Allen's been retired for however long. Like he's just been doing conventions. Like they have the show went off the air, and there's a Galaxy Quest: The Next Generation, and have it be a pastiche of obviously Star Trek: The Next Generation, and have it be where now they get taken, and the old Galaxy Quest guys have to go save them, and then that way you can maintain the fish out of water with these new guys who get to now experience the alien ship being real, and then that way you can replicate the feel of the original. And yeah, you can make fun of Star Trek: The Next Generation and have their version, whatever their version of Captain Picard is. I think that would be fun.
That could be fun. That could be fun. But that's all I really have to say about Galaxy Quest. It's a fun one, and it's one that I will always have a fond place in my heart for.
Um,
And it's nostalgia. To answer your question, it is nostalgia-rific.
it is nostalgia-rific. Um, so my second one is another one that was shown to me and recommended to me, and I was made to. I loved it and I love it because of my dad. That's Speed Racer. I watched.
Speed
I watched a
Racer.
few episodes of the show, quite a number of episodes of the show, and then I watched the movie. And the movie is kind of incredible because, in one breath, it is astonishing how faithful it is to the anime at times. Like it's incredible. Like, um, I when I went after I watched the movie, I watched another episode of the show, and there was stuff in the movie that seemed really stupid, but having watched an episode of the show and actually paid attention, I was like, oh, okay, they're kind of doing a thing from the show that's interesting. So like, yeah, in one breath, Pop's Racer, man, John Goodman looks just like Pop's Racer. Like, damn, does John Goodman look like Pop's Racer? But then the CGI on the car races is like, it's just like visual. Everything is happening at once. Everything. Like you can't see anything. It's just like bad video game CGI, but like really particularly bad like CGI. Even for the time, it's like it's hard to tell anything that's happening at any one time, and it's awful. But then like the show does this thing where when people are racing, where it does this hard flash to like this up like from here up of the driver to just sort of indicate that they're driving a car.
Right.
And the movie does that a lot. Like, and it's just them up against a green screen, and it's like Speed Racer like driving, but it's like just a really bad like head shot. And I'm like, oh, that looks just like the show. That's incredible. Like the attention to detail. And the plot of the movie, I could see how if you're not familiar again with the show, you'd be like, yeah, this is really boring and derivative. But it's a really faithful adaptation of the show in the sense that, yeah, the show is just kind of every episode is like there's a bad guy, there's an evil corporate bad guy, and they want Speed Racer to lose the race for some reason or another. And that so like in like the early episodes I watched, it was like there's a secret engine that's on the windshield of the super secret car.
I remember that one.
And then after I watched the movie, I watched the one where it was the fastest car, and you have to take drugs in order to drive the fastest car.
I also remember that one. Do you remember? I think there was a PlayStation 1 Speed Racer game that we I don't remember if we rented or whatever one time. But I remember that you could be the Mach 5, and it had the different buttons, and you could do the saw blades, and you could do the power jack jump. And
it was incredible because it's like it's written and directed by the people who made The Matrix. And you're like, written. They wrote this, and they definitely watched Speed Racer. Like, I could say that. I could say that they definitely watched at least, like, maybe not a lot of episodes of Speed Racer, but enough to get it. Like, it's really bizarre. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The movie is really just a really, really good adaptation of an episode of the show where it's like, it's just Speed Racer runs into a bad guy who's part of an evil group of bad guys who are fixing races, and Speed Racer has to win a race and beat them. Oh, and a thug shows up in the middle of the thing, and Speed Racer does a fist fight. Like there's a scene in this that, like, if you're not familiar with the show, you're like, this is ridiculous. But, like, having just gotten off the back of watching, like, 4 episodes, I'm like, a ninja attacking him in the middle of the night is not a really ridiculous thing for Speed Racer. It's a thing that would happen in this universe. But, like...
Plus, there's his long-lost dead brother who is Racer X.
Who's Racer X, yeah. Who in this movie gets plastic surgery, I think. I can't remember if in the show if that's the same thing they do from the show.
I don't remember.
But like the aesthetic is weird. Like they do this like retro futuristic, like it's in the future, but it's also the 1950s for some reason. Like all the aesthetic and everyone dresses like it's the 1950s. It's really weird. Like the original Speed Racer, it was like they were driving cars. Like they were driving regular cars. Like this is like they're doing races around what is ostensibly Lego tracks. and like all the
Yeah.
cars look like you remember all the cars look like they're Lego cars, so the Mach 5 doesn't really stand out. It just kind of blends in.
Yeah,
And
that was kind of the point of the Mach 5 was that everyone had regular cars, but his had all these gadgets in it and
yeah,
cool things that were added in, and that
exactly.
made his car special.
And they do eventually put that stuff, but like every car has the jacks, the jumping jacks, and like they eventually add the stuff in, but it's like as a result of like being self-defense items against the other cars who are putting in like bad things into their cars. But it's like, but that's not what made the Mach 5 special. Like, yeah, when you watch the show, it's very much like, yeah, they're just saying regular car shit. Like this show takes place in like modern times in the 60s. Like it takes place in like the regular universe, and they're just saying regular car driving jargon. Like they're regular
Yeah.
people. They're not super people in like this weird future super races. And you're like, yeah. And then you read about this and you read how the Wachowskis wanted to make this weird avant garde, like art house film. But then it's like, but like, yeah, but that's Pop's Racer. Like, that's Racer X. That looks like his car. Like, it's bizarre. The ending credits has this weirdly, like, accurate. It's got the Japanese theme song, the Speed Racer theme song, and lines from the original show in it. Like, who is that for other than like hardcore fans? Which, like, yeah, it's such a contradictory movie. It's so bizarre. Like, I could see why people are like, this is bad, but if like you're like really familiar with the show, it's kind of great. It truly is. It's really weird. It's a weird one. It is such a weird one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have such a. It's so funny that I watched the fastest car. That episode used to scare the bejesus out of me when I was 6 years old. Like I don't know why. It was so scary. Like the bit when Chim Chim
Oh,
is being
I
forced to
mean,
drive and he's I don't know what it was. That used to upset me.
to be to be fair, you were scared of the weirdest things with
Yeah,
movies,
man.
Mister Green Goblin.
Mr. Green Goblin. Yeah, man. Yeah, weird. Weird. I remember that being like, this episode was intense as a kid. And now I'm like, this show's silly. It's silly and fun. It's from the 1960s and the voice acting is weird. It's so
it's
weird.
it's campy.
It's so campy and fun. And I love this show. And it's, yeah, right from my childhood. Um, it's so funny how you don't, like, that thing was old when we were young. And it's just funny how
Yeah,
you don't realize, you don't care when you're a kid. It's a
like
cartoon.
Transformers.
Not Transformers, I would argue it was not old. It was like getting no, I don't even think it was getting old. Like it was not contemporary, but it was just out of the sphere of being contemporary. This is like 1990s to the 1960s. This is like a 30-year-old show. And it's like, yeah, you just don't care. It's cartoons. Who cares?
Yeah,
There's a little bit of
yeah.
drama to it. It's just kind of funny to me because like it's this is the era of like really nailing syndication. So it's just funny that every one of these is a three-parter. Like every one of them is a three-parter.
that's that's
And
funny.
none of them really feel like they need to be. It's very funny. And a lot of times the middle part has nothing to do with the end part. It's very strange.
I mean,
Oh, wait, we're
that's like
still doing the car one? Okay, yeah, okay.
that's like Tintin. The Adventures of Tintin would do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I guess it just must have been a thing from that era. Like cartoons from the
I'm
60s were like we really need to like stretch the
stretch
story
it,
out, yeah.
and now we can barely get 8 episodes of a series.
Right? I guess maybe just that was yeah, really I guess before they nailed syndication. Because I guess 80s the 80s, like Dungeons and Dragons, like you literally could put any episode of that show on and you wouldn't know which season it was from. Um
Yeah,
because that was the point. That they were created to just you put it on anytime and watch any episode at any point.
that is what syndication is.
Um that what was that? That was Speed Racer. That was the end of Speed Racer. That was it. That's it. My second one. Is that the end of the half scenes, or you have one more? No, I went
No, I
first.
have one.
I went first.
I You went first. I have
Right,
one more big one that I spent a lot of time working on, if
right,
you
right, right,
recall.
right. Forgot about that.
So my last have seen, I couldn't do nostalgia without talking about this because something from it is literally tattooed on my body. This is so difficult.
It is.
Um, um, and that's Kingdom Hearts. I played the first
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts. I beat the first Kingdom Hearts, And it's my favorite game series of all time. We're only going to talk about the first one because
We could be here
there's
all
not
day.
enough hours. There's not enough hours in the day to do a deep dive into all of the games.
I would love to
So we're
do
gonna.
a
So
Kingdom Hearts podcast.
I mean, that'd be fun.
That'd be a fun podcast.
Um, but I'm gonna go at this through the eyes of like a nostalgia. So going back to I mean, this was released in North America in or September 17th, 2002. Um,
Wait, sorry,
which
sorry, go back. I was looking at the timer. Say, say that again. Sorry.
this was released in September 17th,
Kingdom
2002 in
Hearts.
North
Sorry, I'm like, what
America.
are we talking about again? My mind went blank. Right. Yes, I remember the thing about this game. Start from the beginning with my relationship. I
I
remember
remember I remember renting it and getting to Tarzan and being stuck on
that's
Tarzan.
not my first memory. My first memory is seeing the commercials. And that really fast. It was just a theme song, and it was just it was simple and clean. It was really quick, and it was Sora, and then it showed you Cerberus, and then Hercules. It was really. I remember that commercial. So I'm being like, what is this? I
Like when you
and then I just kept seeing that commercial, and again. I'm like, I need to play this game. And it was like
when
I
you
don't
go
even
back
know
and
why.
look,
I
like,
wasn't really a major Final Fantasy guy at the time, but just
no, it was the
I was
Disney.
12.
It was the
Yeah.
fact. It was the fact that you had this weird Final Fantasy stuff, which no, I wasn't super into at the
No.
time. But combining it with Disney, which I was super into at the time,
Yeah.
still am. I love
Yeah.
Disney. But like you had this weird, and it was like even back then, even as a young Jordan, it was the juxtaposition of family friendly Disney with weird Final Fantasy stuff
Yeah.
that absolutely drew me
I
in
mean, we
and
always loved the.
made me be like I want to try
I
this.
mean, we love Dragon Ball, so that's why we love Final Fantasy. So it's like, oh, it's Dragon Ball ish thing with with Disney
Disney?
thing. There's
That like
done like
that's
that looks
weird.
wow. And so then yeah, I remember renting it. I very much remember renting it. And yeah,
And
getting to Tarzan, getting to Tarzan.
and specifically the part where you have to go up into the vines and look for Kerchak in them.
That's
And it's
no,
like,
it wasn't Kerjack. It wasn't Kerjack. No, it was the
yes,
slides
it
in the
was.
it was the slides in the camp.
No, it wasn't.
We could not find. I remember because we couldn't find all the slides in the camp, and we combed.
No, right. I
We
think it was the slides for us. What it was, our cousin. Our cousin, it was Kerchak.
yeah, exactly, yeah. It was Kerjack, yeah.
Right. Um,
But for us, it was the slides, and that began a lifelong trend of massively overestimating Kingdom Hearts. Just being like this game. We always think that this franchise is smarter than it is, and it began there. Being like, yeah, no, obviously they're not going to make you comb the whole level for these things. That would be
yeah,
psychotic.
yeah. I'm
And
never gonna forget
I remember
that.
getting frustrated putting it down and then coming back at it with the best guide in existence, which I think I still have somewhere. I don't remember what it's
I think
called.
I think it's in the storage space. Yeah. Um,
I wish I could have shouted out by a specific name. But it is the greatest guide. It has the beefiest strategy on the beefiest and the most useless strategy on how to beat Sephiroth. That is amazing. And it has a 2-page
um,
detailed strategy on how to beat Sephiroth or how to beat
I
Jafar.
mean,
It's a
it's
2-page
not as
spread. It's hilarious.
it's not as big or as unnecessarily long as the one for Kingdom Hearts 2
No,
was.
but it's
That
way
one,
more
that
detailed and
one,
it's way
that one.
better.
No. The first one was like super thin by
No,
comparison. The
I
second one
know.
was like this
I
thick.
know it's way smaller, but it's way better because it's way more
It
detailed for some
absolutely,
absurd
yeah.
reason.
It absolutely
The
is.
one for the Kingdom Hearts 2 is really general for a lot of its help. It's like it was more that was more useful for like item gathering later on when you're at the end.
Um,
That's what that guide was useful for.
but
Now it's out of date because they no longer have the vanilla version of Kingdom Hearts 2. Anyway.
yeah, that is one thing that I didn't like. So the version that I played was the remix version 1.5, which is fine. It's the the
Final
final mix
mix.
version.
Yeah.
Um, which I appreciate the things they added, but I don't. There's things about it that I don't like.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like a lot of the recoloring.
Yeah, I
I
know. There's a
prefer
lot
the
of the recolors
like
going
I
on.
prefer the original colors for a lot of them.
Yeah,
Um, um, there's the difficulty spike in getting the Ultima that they make with Final Mix. I don't like.
yeah.
But anyways, we're getting away from we're getting into the nitty gritty details, which I could complain about. Um, there's a lot playing through it this time, and even just
You get to the
previous
point where you're
times
like, "This
as
is
an
a game
adult.
from 2001. It's starting to age badly." That happened to me the last time I
There's
played it.
yeah, there's
I love
certain
this game, but it's starting to
aspects.
age.
That being said, visually and animation wise, it still holds up pretty
I mean,
well.
those collections look good. Like
Um,
everyone looks better than the last. Like the PS4 one looks better than the PS3 one. It's incredible.
and I'm gonna do a bit of free promotion here for them. Those who haven't played Kingdom Hearts and would like to get into it, it has just recently been released on Steam.
Yes,
Um,
yes, it has.
so as well as being on PlayStation, and you could do the cloud versions on the Nintendo
Yeah,
Switch, I
it's
believe.
yeah. Those versions are free. Oh,
Um,
do the PS5 version, the cloud
um,
version.
it has never been more easy to gain access to Kingdom Hearts
Yeah,
and play it
pretty
so that you
much.
can grow and become a better person and we can be friends.
I mean, it's just yeah. There's never been a better time to get in on this franchise. But no, yeah, I was very. I mean,
And
I very much one of those like I remember every moment. I
um
remember every triumph. Is how I would put it.
bringing oh absolutely, and I remember the struggles,
Yeah,
especially because in the original version
get skip
you
cutscenes.
couldn't skip
Oh,
cutscenes,
the
so you had
greatest
to
thing they ever
rewatch
added was
things
the ability to skip cutscenes.
over and over and over and over.
Are we
um
gonna do it, Jordan? Are we gonna do it?
w- uh, am I going to do what?
Are we gonna do? Uh,
I
I
rule
rule
the
the seas
seas
now.
now.
The sea and
The sea
all
and
its
all
full
its people
bow to
to
my
my
power.
power.
That was not
Or
coordinated. I was hoping that would be more
or
coordinated.
the heart. I only did this part once because I didn't die. Um, um, the heart. True nature is darkness. It grows within it, sprouts. Such is its
Consumes.
nature. Consumes. Such is
Such
its
is
nature.
nature.
You're wrong. You're wrong. I've learned that the heart may be weak. It may even give up. But I've learned deep down there's a light that never goes out. Um,
It's my lucky charm, so you better bring it back to me, okay?
you better bring it back to me, okay?
Um,
So many lines, so many
Great Ninja
things.
Yuffie.
The great Ninja Yuffie. Or
Um,
I, I I don't think I'm gonna make it, Jiminy.
oh,
Ooh. Oh,
oh, I guess I'm
okay.
okay. Yeah. You know, you never used to be able to skip
So many.
cutscene. So like that
So
Ursula line, it
many
like
that are
burned into my. We talked about this the other day. Not even just the line, but like the intonation and how she says the line. Like I can do it. I can do
burned into
mostly do
my
it. It takes a second for me to recall it from memory, but it's still there. It will never leave. I saw someone
uh
say like this is a badass line, but it will be the last thing that leaves my brain when I die.
yeah. Um so yeah, no, I mean I love it. For those who've never played it, basically boy gets key, boy goes to Disney World with Donald and Goofy to find his friends, boy finds friends, boy locks away powers of darkness until the sequel.
But you know, if people really want to get to know the story of Kingdom Hearts, look up the simple plot of Kingdom Hearts. That'll do all the work for you.
Also,
We don't
Also,
have
if you
to.
don't want to play the game, but you want to enjoy the story, there are also mangas of it.
yes, there is, and they're different than the games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
slightly.
they're slightly different. Um,
Um, but without jumping into the sequel, the many sequels and the convolution that then follows, I think that's all I have to say about. Oh no, there was one more thing to bring it back to Father's Day. I'm never gonna forget when when we beat Kingdom Hearts. I beat Kingdom Hearts as a kid, and my dad, bless his heart, went to Blockbusters and rented a game which was called, I think, Shadow of Hearts or something, which he thought was a sequel to Kingdom Hearts, because at that point there was no sequel to Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, and it was not a
And
sequel to Kingdom Hearts.
spoiler alert, it was not a sequel to Kingdom Hearts, but
It
bless his heart
is a
for thinking it
very
was.
violent turn-based RPG that I don't recall playing much of.
I don't remember much of it.
I do remember this story though. Yeah, that was funny.
But that's Kingdom Hearts.
Fun.
And I like it.
It's funny when people to me always be funny to me with like, Kingdom Hearts is convoluted. It is no more convoluted than any anime. There's no more than if you're following it. Like if you're keeping along and you're playing along, it's no more complicated than Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is not
Yeah.
complicated. Dragon Ball Z, if you prefer. Dragon Ball Z is not complicated. It's about as complicated as Dragon Ball Z.
I was gonna say even like Naruto, like you wouldn't like, for example, you haven't watched all of Naruto. You're not gonna come into the last season of Naruto having not watched any of the rest of Naruto and expect to know what's going on. Or One Piece.
Yeah,
like that's got like 17 seasons. You're not gonna come into season like 15 and expect to know what's going on.
As an aside, and I might make this into a short, I might not, but as an aside, I saw a TikTok where someone said that One Piece has no filler, and I refuse to believe that's true. Like that, I don't watch One Piece. I've never read One Piece. I don't really know anything about One Piece. That cannot be true, right?
No, I don't think that's true. I have watched some One Piece, and no, I don't think that's true.
I feel like that cannot be true.
Maybe
someone leave a comment telling me if that's true, but that cannot be true, right?
There have been explicit cuts that people have made, like, and put on YouTube and stuff, which have cut out filler.
Is it part
basically turned it into like Dragon Ball Z Kai?
Is it part of the pitch on that new series? Is that's basically One Piece's version of Dragon Ball Kai? Isn't that?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
there's definitely filler. That person's crazy.
I was gonna say I feel like there has to. Anyway. Sorry.
That's Kingdom Hearts. So what haven't you seen for your big birthday bonanza?
What should I? Jordan, you know what? I'm gonna let you choose. I'm gonna give you the choice. What would you like to hear about first? The Goosebumps Disney Plus show, or the sequel to the Jack Black Goosebumps movie?
Let's keep this in the order that we did the other two, and we'll do the series first.
We did the series first, okay. Okay, so it's a little interesting. This is another one. Anyway, the Toon Talk 2.0 had a guest on their podcast where he had said that he felt that the show was good, and I had made it through most of it at that point, and I was like, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's okay. It's just not very Goosebumps. It's just like it feels like it was a completely different horror show, mystery horror show, that they've just slapped a bunch of Goosebumps shit onto it. That kind of vaguely looks like the thing, but and has a few extraneous details that sort of represent the thing, but aren't really the thing in spirit. And so, it just doesn't.
I mean,
feel
for
like
me,
Goosebumps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, once you take away that campy kind of element, it's no longer Goosebumps.
Yeah,
that campy thing is Goosebumps.
It takes itself like really seriously. Like that's my main thing. It takes itself so serious, and it's like weirdly violent. Like it's oddly violent, especially for a show that's like specifically Disney Plus. You're like, this is off-putting, and like it has like the first episode is like say cheese and die, and it's kind of like okay. It's a show, and it's a serialized show, so I have to do some summarizing, Jordan. I apologize. I'm going to do my best to break it up with some commentary. So this show begins. It has kind of a few arcs, but it's about kids. It's about teenager kids, whatever. And we see one, and he dies in a mysterious house fire. Cut to modern day. There's a bunch of kids, and they all wind up at a party at this haunted dead kid's house. And over the course of several episodes, you see there's a main framing device of there's a party that has occurred at this house, this haunted dead kid's house, and you see all the different characters, the different perspectives of that event through the guise of like Goosebumps shit shows up. So like the first thing to show up is the say cheese and die. Do you remember say cheese and die? Do I have to summarize that really quick?
Just pretend. Go under the assumption for 90% of these that no, I don't remember the details. Give me the 5-second abridged story.
Okay. Say cheese and
Give
die.
me, give me the summary that would be on the back of the book that I could read to know what's happening.
Say cheese and die is the one about the camera where you take the picture of the people and they appear in the camera, and then whatever happens in the camera happens to them in real life.
Okay, got it.
I'm pretty sure that's the anyway.
Good,
Evil
good
camera.
enough. I get the
Evil
idea.
camera. In this show, that's what happens. So the guy takes pictures of shit, and like he sees, in this game that he's gonna break his arm, after seeing like all the stuff in this picture happening to his friends, and so he becomes paranoid that this is gonna happen. So then it becomes self-fulfilling, and he ends up breaking his arm. And then the next episode is they do the haunted mask. So the girl, she puts on the mask, and the whole
And then
thing
becomes
is
the monster.
yeah, and the whole thing in the episode is she's being like an internet troll, and so it's slowly turning her into an actual troll. And it's like, yeah, it's the haunted mask, but it doesn't really look like the haunted mask. Like it's not. It's creepy.
So like
I guess
they're not rubber enough, or
no, it's just like a boring CGI character. It's just not as scary as the one from the '90s show.
Yeah, that's my point. That's what I said about the '90s, though, and that's why the '90s one I think works better is because it was practical effects.
Yeah, but
So that creepiness kind of works a little. Like when you have the actual rubber mask, it's gonna work better to me than just a CG thing.
Yeah, and that we'll get there. But it's one of again 3 times that or 2 times I guess because I didn't watch the haunted mask, but that the haunted mask shows up and it just doesn't look good. It's just not the haunted mask. It's like, yeah, it feels like a sort of reference to Goosebumps, like a half-hearted one. And then I can't remember what other one they do. They do the Cuckoo Clock, and then the next one is they do the one I told you about, the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. But the premise of this is the kid gets trapped in a Groundhog Day, essentially.
Okay.
And he keeps having to relive this party over and over again. Every time he tries to leave, it resets. And then at the end of it, they stop the loop. And the big twist is that every time he came out, the version of him was created who is evil for some reason. And I didn't, to be fair, it failed the phone test. Oh, no, I think I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 while I was watching it. And so maybe I missed why all of the time loop clones were evil, but they never really seemed to explain why they're evil, just that they're evil. They're evil and they're made of goo.
It's the clock, right? The clock is evil and it's making them event. That'd be my guess.
Maybe that's not really a thing as near as I could tell from the original story. But like, yeah, they're made out of like, you know, like when you think like monster blood, like from Goosebumps, does that ring like that connotated?
Yeah, the credits, the green goo.
Yeah. It's like that. Yeah. He's made out of that, but it's like yellow, and they're all evil, and they work for.
I also would have taken like ectoplasm goo.
And yeah, and so I think that's the last one. And so there's this overarching plot over the season over this kid who died in this fire, who everyone is seeing, and there's all sorts of hints about who this kid is. And I think in episode 3, and there's a Justin Long is in this, funny enough, as a teacher. He's a new English teacher, and he's moved into the dead kid's house. And the dead kid gets, I guess he's trapped, and he gets released, and he possesses Justin Long. And so yeah, so there's a subplot of what is this dead ghost kid's deal, and why does he have all the Goosebumps shit? Like, why does he have all the Goosebumps shit? And so then it's revealed that when the dead kid, his grandpa was a failing ventriloquist, and he found Slappy, like Goosebumps Slappy,
okay,
dummy, and Slappy was evil, and he basically like took control over the grandpa's life, and like was slowly making him obsessed with Slappy and all sorts of stuff, and
yeah. See, I don't get this obsession with ventriloquist dolls all being creepy and evil. I've had one in my closet for years, and it's never magically come to life and tried to strangle me in my sleep. Oh God!
No, and so then the dead kid's grandpa, Slappy, his ventriloquist, and yeah, so then the grandpa starts to realize that the dummy's bad news, and he buries him in the house. But then the dead kid finds him, and he starts to like become obsessed with the dummy and starts to work with them, and like the dummy is evil, and there's a whole like prequel episode where you find out that the whole thing is it's like a small town kind of Stephen King-esque kind of movie where it's all the parents and all all the kids are being punished by the goosebumps things of the parents who did this thing perceived thing to this dead kid. um Sorry,
Okay.
again, it's a lot. It's a show, and it's a really dense
Yeah,
show.
it is a show.
um I'm doing this as fast as I can. Bear with me. So then, Slappy, dead kid, Slappy, dead kid has Slappy. And Slappy is slowly turning him against the friend group, which is the parents. Um, and the parents realize that Slappy is evil and basically has taken control of this kid and turned him against them. And in the means of trying to get Slappy away from him, they accidentally kill him in a fire, and that's how he dies. But Slappy has poisoned him, or like brainwashed him essentially into thinking that they bullied him, and that's why he died. Um, and so it turns out that Slappy, the dummy, is the big bad guy of the season.
Shocker.
Shocker. And um, they basically convince the dead ghost kid that Slappy is evil, Slappy is dead, defeat Slappy, blah blah blah, happy ending. And then there's one more episode, and there's this really weird scene. Oh, there's one more episode that takes place like a few months later, and now Justin Long is Justin Long again. He's no longer possessed by the dead kid. Um, and he has decided to take the events of what has happened in the season and write it into a book and sell it. Um, and he talks to a publisher, and the publisher is like, "Oh," and this really weird meta scene is like, "Oh, we just feel like the ending is not strong enough. We we think that you should like punch it up. There's not enough of a backstory for Slappy. Like Slappy he's not a defined enough character. We need to know more about Slappy." And it's a really weird scene because you could tell that it was gonna be R.L. Stine. Like this was written for him. It was gonna be a cameo, and he was gonna have this weird because there. Oh, I forgot to mention, in the Jack Black movie, there's a line where he compares himself to Stephen King, where he's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
I remember that
and this movie has another moment where
show.
sorry, there's a moment where because it's all the goosebumps shit, he's like, oh, you could be the next Stephen King, and I'm like, no, I love Goosebumps. I think I've more than adequately displayed my affection for this franchise. It's not Stephen King. It's not.
It's funny. I remember.
It's
I
not
remember.
Stephen
I think I
King.
took it out from the library, but I remember as a kid having a book that was by R.L. Stine that wasn't Goosebumps,
Yes,
and I don't
yes.
remember.
It's called The
I
Sitter.
don't remember what it was. Is that what it was?
Yes,
I couldn't remember
it's
what it
quite.
was.
Whenever I talk to whenever I get the chance to speak to the Goosebumps crew next, or if I could talk about Goosebumps with those guys, I want to ask them about it. Because it took me a while to figure out what it was called. Because he has another series called The Babysitter. It's like 3 books, and it's about this babysitter who's terrorized by this like grieving dad who's gone crazy. And it's like there's multiple books, and like the second one, at the end of the second one, she goes through like a mental breakdown, and the third one, she's not in it, but then she comes back for like the fourth one. There's a bunch of them, and I'm like, no, this isn't it. This is like
No,
this is
the
like
one that I'm
for like
thinking of was like a
preteens, but like this is
solo. The one that I'm thinking of was like a solo standalone
yeah,
book.
and it was very much R rated. Like it was more adult. Like there was swearing in it,
Yeah,
and then there was adult themes. I think there was a sex scene in it from what I recall. And there's like a big twist about how it's like I remember, it's like it turns out like the kids something to do with dead children, and the wife was the old babysitter, and she killed the kids, and the husband
I don't
married her.
specifically. I don't specifically
I
remember
remember.
anything about the story. I just remember that it
I
existed.
told you to read it because I said it was amazing. Because I remember it kept me up all night one night. I remember I read like from like the half of it. I stayed up till like midnight. Just I was like glued to it. I was like, this is so compelling. Oh my god, the Goosebumps guy wrote this. It was like I wasn't like a kid. I remember I was like a teenager. I just remember being like, the Goosebumps guy wrote this. This is insane. Like this is smut. I got this from the library. This is awesome. Um, Yeah, yeah, it's called The Sitter. That's what it's called.
Interesting.
Yeah, I very much tried to figure. It took me an evening to figure out what it was called.
So, the Goosebumps show, was it nostalgia-rific?
Kind of. No, yeah, so no, not really, because it just didn't really capture this Goosebumps vibe, because it wasn't Goosebumps. Oh, sorry, I didn't want the back half, the final episode. So yeah, she's like, uh, ending, and then they proceed to give Slappy like a really elaborate backstory, which okay, even faster. We've sped through this even faster. So it turns out that Slappy is a soldier who was in some undefined and unnamed war in some country. And he happens upon, I'm guessing, an African or Asian country based on the language in the on the card. Kind of has that kind of feel to it. Anyway, he is in this war. He gets shot, and then he winds up in this shrine where he reads the little phrase that is in the card, and gets brought back to life with, now he has magic powers. And then he gets turned into a magician man who is both a real magician and wizard, but also dresses like a stage magician. And he meets a guy at a circus who he recruits to get people to turn him into living dolls so that he can um, create a big spire that he can set on fire, that he can sacrifice a ton of innocent people, and so he can bring back monsters into the world, basically. Like, like horror monsters, like those kind of monsters. He wants to bring them
Yeah.
back so that they may retake the earth because humans suck. And he's a
I
magic
mean,
wizard
fair
man.
enough.
And
Who could really blame
and
him?
then in
That's fair.
the last episode, he stops being a puppet and he's just a man. He's just a weird man. It's very weird.
I mean,
It's very
sounds
strange.
like a completely understandable motivation. I definitely get it. Monsters are cool and humans
Like,
drool.
I wouldn't lie and say there aren't moments that are kind of scary, but yeah, it's just like, this is too adult for Goosebumps. Like, it was one of those, like, I don't understand who this is for, and that's why I'd love to I love to know the perspective of a person who's like more of a Goosebumps fan than me, because I'm like,
A
this
ride or die.
yeah, because I'm like, this just doesn't work for me as a casual. I'm like, it's too adult and scary and bloody and violent to be enjoyable as a Goosebumps thing, and it's not very interesting to be its own. Like, it's all right, but it's like, it's just as a Goosebumps adaptation. I'm like, it's just like they tossed Goosebumps shit on top of a pre-existing script, and it's just, I don't know, it's not very good. I
That's
think
that's fair.
uh, one of the Goosebumps guys, I saw him say today that, yeah, it works better as an anthology series. Do it where it's like, yeah, do a modern day adaptation, like an adult with like teenage, instead of have it like do the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, but instead of a 12-year-old, he's a 17-year-old. He's an adult kind of character. You know what I mean? And like, do something
Yeah.
like that. Like, do a Twilight Zone anthology series and like amp it up to be PG and do it, kind of give it a kind of a modern feel to it. Yeah, that's way more interesting than like, yeah, he's gonna wear the haunted mask and it's gonna kind of be the thing, I guess.
I mean, my issue is that, or my thing is that any suggestion that I kind of am gonna give it, kind of just turns it into "Are you afraid of the dark?" Because
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, an anthology series where they're standing around a fire telling ghost stories,
yeah. This
and
is, are you
each
afraid of the
episode
dark?
begins with them. It's just that's just "Are you afraid of the dark?" It works so well,
It,
and you would just turn this into "Are you afraid of
it
the
didn't
dark?"
start off as "Are you afraid of the dark?" It was like, it was people standing around, and then you said campfire. It was like, no, it just instantly became "Are you afraid of the dark?" Like, yeah, that's
Well,
like,
because like when you're talking anthologies that are horror stories that are not specifically based, like that are like, you're just kind of describing "Are you afraid of the
they keep
dark?"
trying to bring it back. Like, it's been, there was at one point it was going to be a movie. They were going to do a movie.
But I mean, to be fair, for even in the '90s, those two series or those series, the both of them, they kind of bounced off each other.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
one was popular. I would argue one was popular because of the other.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I do think there's a world for like slightly more intense Goosebumps. But yeah, do it where it's like, yeah, do it like honest to goodness, like hour-long adaptation of like the Haunted Mask that's like intense and like legitimately unsettling. Like that's way more interesting to me than like Harry. The character's name is Harry Biddle. Ghost. It's just not very. Yeah, just and it really loses the spirit. Not goosebumpsy enough. What is your what is
I understand.
what was the first one
I
you hadn't seen?
understand.
This is the first one you hadn't seen, right?
This is the first one I haven't
Yes.
seen, which is actually technically three movies, but we're just talking about them as one product, which is the Brave Little Toaster.
Uh,
I watched the Brave Little Toaster, and then it's two sequels. Actually, technically, I watched the sequel and then went back and watched the first one because, fun fact, due to distribution issues, the first Brave Little Toaster movie is not on Disney Plus.
hmm.
Um, so the second one and the third one are on Disney Plus, which the theme of this one is I remember trailers for the Brave Little Toaster being on a lot of like VHSs that I watched. I remember there being previews for it, but I have no memory of actually watching it. And after watching these, I have no memory of ever watching this. I don't think I ever did. And had I watched these movies as a kid, I would definitely have had a nostalgia for them. They're cute, they're simple, they're basic, they're cotton candy. Like there's not like especially the sequels. The sequels are like an hour, like hour 10, I think. Like
Yeah.
they're not very long.
I
Um,
I see that. Yeah. It's one of those ones where I've just convinced myself I've seen it because I saw you watching it and I was like I don't remember a second of this. Like I
no,
remember the characters and concept and like image, but I really don't remember anything about. Like, this is way
yeah.
older than I remember. That's
Also, it's
way
funny
older than I remember.
in the first little Brave Little Toaster movie, the catchiest and best song in the movie is when they're in the dump the with the cars that are being crushed and destroyed, which is kind of horrifying because the machines and like objects and things in this world are alive,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just flat out are alive. And so this catchy good song is about the cars singing how like they're not capable of keeping up with things anymore, and like they're like broken down and they're getting crushed to death. Like
It's genuinely upsetting.
and so then the human one, the master that the toaster and all of them are owned by, ends up at the dump because reasons, and he sees his stuff there and goes to grab them, and the sentient magnet that's getting people, like getting the cars and stuff and taking it to the crusher, the toaster and the lamp and the whatever's um appliances have escaped the conveyor where they would be getting to be crushed like
I
once,
remember
I think, at this
this.
point.
I remember
and
this.
and and the owner is all like, "Hey, that's mine," and goes to collect them. And the sentient magnet is all like, "Oh no, bitch! Those things are getting crushed," and like lifts him and them and puts all of them on the conveyor, and he like the human guy is like covered by this one thing and is heading towards the crusher, and I'm watching this and laughing to myself going like, oh boy, this children's movie is about to get very dark as the sentient machine crushes the human.
That's
and and
funny.
and and then
Shit's about to
and
get
then
bloody.
and obviously that doesn't happen. He gets rescued. It's a happy ending. Um, Sequel is about so in that first one he's like heading off to college, and then the sequel he's in college, and like about to graduate from college, and then the third one he's a dad now, and like he has a child, which like the appliances are like, oh, we have the mistress and the master and the baby master, or the young master, and then the young master ends up going to Mars, and so they go to Mars in a
Wait, so
very
they actually
implausible
go to
way.
Mars?
Oh, they go to Mars, Justin. They have a fan and a mic
Time out. Hold on. When you say go to Mars, that's not like a weird euphemism for something, is it? 'Cause the way you said
no,
go to
no,
Mars sort of implied that it gets weird.
no, like they go to Mars, like they go to the planet Mars, which they use like a fan that you would have in like your kitchen, and a popcorn and a microwave, and the microwave has popcorn in it, and like the microwave rays
Sound like it's
somehow
suitable enough
has
thrust
some. Now I don't
to
really
get you to
fully
Mars.
understand how it gets them to Mars, but it somehow
The
they
astrophysics
get to
here aren't
Mars,
matching up.
and
This movie
so
about that
on Mars,
anthropomorphic toaster.
there's a bunch of appliances that were pissed off at humans because the humans intentionally built them with a design flaw, and so then they want to essentially like blow up Earth as
Oh,
revenge.
well, I got dark.
And and the toaster convinces them not to do that,
Oh,
and then they go home.
wow, that man. What what's the
Also,
plot of the first
also,
one?
also, also,
That feels like
there's a
incredibly high stakes for the brave little toaster.
also there's a in that third one there's a hearing aid which was owned by Albert Einstein.
All right, I'm just saying, like
Also, also there's a character that was in the second one that like the one thing that I kind of like is that characters that were in previous ones carry forward.
nice, nice.
As for what the first one was about, first one they start off at the old cabin that the master and his family owned, and they're all like, we need to go to the master because we love him and we want to be useful, and so then they like make their way to the master who lives in the city. Meanwhile, the master was gonna come and get them,
So he's
but
not
then
like,
he's
what
like,
the
but
fuck? How'd this
they're
lamp get
gone.
here?
They're gone. Why? And it looks like our home has been broken
What
into.
the fuck? Where'd my
And so
toaster go?
and so then meanwhile, the the appliances that are in his current home, which are all fancy and new, basically convince. I missed this part because I was playing Kingdom Hearts at the same time. They either convince them or trick them that they're trash, which is why they end up at the dump.
Gotcha. So, like,
And then
does
and
the
then
guy
and then
know
the
that the
and then the
things talk?
no. No. That's a big thing in this world is that the appliances and machines and stuff act like they're inanimate.
Why?
They act like they're inanimate.
Oh, it's one of those. Okay, gotcha.
Why does Woody act like a toy, really, Justin? I mean, it's
Oh, it's
just
one of those.
it's the rules.
They just do. It's the way they. It's the way.
They just
No, I mean, Toy
it's
Story
the
5,
80s.
Jordan, is going to explain why the toys don't move. You know it. It's coming.
I mean, it'll give you that answer that nobody asked for.
Yup. Yup.
Except until no, actually that's not true. We started asking it when they gave us Sporky.
You're like, wait, he just came to life.
Or
Where does the
Forky.
spark of
Yeah.
life come from? Is it like the child's imagination? Sorry, it's a tangent. We can't get drunk. We're so close to the end, and the show's running along. We cannot get distracted.
But yeah, no, that's the Brave Little Toaster. I watched all three, so you didn't have to.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I'm surprised they went to Mars. I could have sworn they didn't go to Mars.
They went to Mars.
They
It
very
was
much go to
confusing
Mars.
and dumb. Also, on Mars, there's like a Christmas ornament angel, and they use her hair and her wings to get back to Earth.
Jordan, I need you to know that this movie confuses me, and therefore it angers me, and we need to move on, or I'm going to strike you later.
Like I said, had I watched it as a kid, I
In my
probably would have
anger,
loved.
in my
I
rage.
probably would. I probably would have loved it as a kid. As an adult, I will never
I
watch
just
this again.
it's sort of like it's up there with, remember Timmy the Tooth?
Yeah, that name
Do
sounds
you
familiar.
do you remember ever actually watching anything to do with that character?
I just remember there being gingivitis
You
villains.
just you just you just really remember that character, right? Like I don't know if I ever actually watched
I mean,
anything with him in it other than
I,
those stupid commercials.
I have to be honest. No, it wasn't one that stuck in my mind until you just unlocked a hidden memory in my mind.
Right? Now I think after this I'm gonna go look up Timmy the Tooth.
I'm gonna have to go look him up afterwards
Yeah.
now, thanks to you.
I used to remember
Thanks, Justin.
I used to remember the commercials. I used to remember the
I
commercials.
remember there being it's one of those things where it's like I remember it, but I no, we did watch it because there's details that are in my mind that are there, but I can't articulate. Like I can't put into
I don't
words.
know. I do have a vague memory of picking it up from but I don't know if that's a fake
Like
memory
I
that I've
remember him.
supplanted into my own
I
brain.
I
Have I
remember him
incepted
walking around.
myself?
I remember him having like a big red toothbrush that he walked around with.
Yeah,
And I
but
remember
that
there
was all.
being
There was a
gingivitis
ton.
villains.
There was like three or four. Like there's at least there's a bunch of variations of the commercial. There's more than one commercial, and they were always on those stupid VHS tapes.
Ah,
And I
I
remember
can't.
seeing like glimpses of a stupid musical number.
I do remember it, but
But then I'm like, but then I have a
I'm not sure if it's a Brave Little Toaster situation where I
yeah.
remember the
But I
advertisement.
also kind of have a vague memory of like seeking it out once to actually just to see what it is, and then finding it at some obscure video store. But I don't know
Mm.
if I've made up that memory or not. Like it's one of those
Well,
things.
we'll have to look it up after and see how much we remember.
Yeah, clearly. But is that it
So
for
what's your last have seen, and then we'll
my
do mine.
last have seen is the
Or
second
not have not seen.
have not seen was the second Goosebumps movie, which I hadn't seen, which is bad. It was very bad. It wasn't very good. It was not a very good
Better or
movie.
worse than the first one.
Worse, because none of the characters come back other than R.L. Stein, who shows up very briefly at the end to basically show up and be like, I'm here to save the day. I have the typewriter. Which is why when you're like, oh, it's probably the typewriter, the second one sort of indicates that it is. But he's like, I have the typewriter. I'm here to save the day. I need to write a Goosebump book. Um, and then they're like, no, we already saved the day, R.L. Stein. And he's like, oh, well, I'm Jack Black. You got me for a day. Wink. Um, and that's kind of it. Other than that, none of the original. It doesn't. The plot of it is incoherent. Like when it's like you're like they never explain how his power. So basically, the inciting incident of this is, um, the main boy and his friend, have like a junk business, and they happen upon a house and they find one of the manuscripts, and it turns out to be one of R.L. Stein's manuscript, but it's like his very first manuscript that he ever wrote, and it doesn't have an ending. But it's a slappy story. Well, they describe it as a story about a dummy who is obsessed with having a family. So just out of nowhere, uh, Slappy has this like motivation where he just really wants a family. Which I'm like, I maybe that's maybe in like some deep hidden like Goosebumps lore. Like that's a storyline for Slappy, but Slappy's motivations are, as I said, really undefined. So to have it be where like the first half of this is like he's just like it's more child's play than it is um
Goosebumps.
yeah, not as a living dummy because yeah, Slappy just starts hurting people because he thinks he's helping the family, and it's like he in a twisted way he like loves the family, and it's just like that's just not Slappy, and also he has like magic, and like the movie wants to be like, oh, all of the Goosebumps shit comes out of the book, but only Slappy really does. And like, you never actually see him come out of the book. You just see the book, and then he's just there. And it's sort of implied that he came out of the book, but it never sort of. And it's not really Slappy, it's a different version of Slappy. So it's not the same Slappy that was in the previous movie, even. It's a brand new Slappy from a different book. And these movies never really indicate.
Why? Why not just bring back the one from the last movie?
That
That
what
seems like it would be. It seems like storytelling wise, like it would be better. Then he has a motivation for wanting revenge.
it feels like Jack because there's this whole thing of like why would he leave this book behind? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like he took every other book, and the end of the movie implies that this event has happened at like multiple places. So like so you know that this is a thing that can happen. Why would you just leave this one book behind? This one unfinished book that seemingly gives the character in it like limitless power, and they never really indicate like the characters know they're in a book, and they seem to know that they're in a book while they're in a book, and they're aware of the fact that they're trapped in a book, but like, so is it like they just endlessly play out the events of their book over and over again, and then just a cycle that they're just constantly aware? It's just not gone into enough detail, but it's the kind of movie that draws enough attention to it where you're asking questions about it. Where you're like, this doesn't really why. So it feels like the first version of this movie was R.L. Stein lost this book, and there's this weird subplot that about the girl being a writer that comes kind. She has this thing about writing an essay, but it's not about. They sort of set it up as not really being about being a writer, but it's about getting into university or college or whatever. So it feels like initially with the scenes with R.L. Stine are from the previous version of the script that they just didn't bother to rescript, that they just wrote around, and clearly there was initially a subplot with her wanting to be a writer that they just cut out that now doesn't make any sense. So it's like
so on a side note, here's my pitch for a more adult Goosebumps movie where it's an actual horror movie. In this movie, R.L. Stine is a like psychopath who uses his books to serial kill.
that'd be pretty sweet.
So like from kill to kill, like he unleashes the monster from the book. The monster does the killing, and then he moves on to the next town, and he unleashes the monster from the book, and it's like serial killer style
That
where
would be
he's
pretty
going
sweet.
around killing people.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. The other weird thing, and
That's
then
my pitch.
that's pretty much it for me. Oh none of the characters from the first movie come back. It's really bizarre. Oh, and also makes it weird. It's like, okay, just like clean slate, do another new story, anthologize this, but no, it weirdly tries to connect to the original movie because it wants to have Jack Black. But sorry, my final thing is Slappy. Even though Jack Black is in this, Slappy is not voiced by Jack Black. Um he's voiced by the guy. He describes himself as the guy who's Jack Black when they can't get Jack Black. So you know the guy who did him in the Kung Fu Panda show, the guy whose job it is to just sound like Jack Black. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's him. So it's like it kind of sounds like him from the first movie, but not really. It's really weird and it's really off-putting and it's a really
But why do that when you have Jack Black?
right. And like it's just no real connection. It's like they kind of wanted to do a full budget um 90-minute version of Night of the Living Dummy or the second Night of the Living Dummy. Like do that and then have Slappy and do it with the Jack Black Slappy. Don't like do this weird thing. Yeah, and so then the movie wants to be like, oh, all the Goosebumps shit is from the book to be like, oh, but it's not. It's just Slappy now has magic, and he just keeps bringing Goosebumps decorations to life. And then the big climax is they walk around with the book and they keep sucking the monsters back into the book. But it's like, but they didn't come from the book. And then they do the haunted mask, but it's like in the new show, the 2023 one, it's like their version of the haunted mask is a troll. This one's like this version of the haunted mask is like a goblin, almost a goblin like. And it just doesn't look like the haunted mask again, and it's not very scary. It's more played for laughs. It's like goofy, like silly. And it's like
Okay.
this isn't the haunted mask. And it's just like, oh yeah, there's the werewolf in Fever Swamp. Oh, there's the Yeti again. And it's like, yeah, it's not very interesting. And it's not. This movie universe felt like the first one feels like, oh, they want to do a franchise, but like going into the second one, I'm like, there's just what else is there to do after all the things come to life all at once? Like it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna do that
You
again?
you wanted it to be a franchise, then you needed to do like, okay, the first one has like three of the stories
Yeah,
or two
exactly.
of the stories, and then like have it be a continuing thing. Like have it be where like at the end of the first one, Slappy escapes and he keeps releasing other monsters from the book.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, that's the way you do it. But anyway,
Like you want to do a franchise. That's in my eyes, that's
um,
one method.
that was my journey through Goosebumps. I'm gonna button this with once again stress, and we're gonna stress it again at the end of the show. You gotta donate to Horrorland. Like Goosebumps is a great franchise. Like I may have had my criticisms of this stuff, but it's all fun stuff. And like yeah, it's like in my opinion a dead genre of children's television. Like they just cliched line, but they really don't make them like they used to. Like there just
No,
isn't
they really
we don't have a contemporary version of Goosebumps in my opinion. Maybe people can say like point me to one where I'm wrong, but I just don't think we have a version today of Goosebumps for a modern children's audience.
no, I don't think so either. So I'm good to do my last
We
final
may
pick.
we may final one of the week.
So my last have not seen is The Fox and the Hound 2.
You
Now
did end up watching The Fox and the Hound too.
I did. Um
That's hilarious.
oh so I do okay, I also went back and I rewatched the
That was a
original.
very sad.
I also went back and I rewatched the original Fox and the Hound to give myself kind of a comparison. And I have one just from an animal lover's perspective. I do have one complaint about the original Fox and the Hound. I know, sacrilege. Don't come at me, bros. Um,
That's okay.
but
Disney, how dare you? I think.
it, it is Disney.
No, I said it's cake
Um,
Disney. I think that's one of the one people like. I
oh,
can't remember.
yeah, I think so, and I love it. Don't get
I
me
love it,
wrong.
but that's hard. That's a hard
But
one for me because I watched it as a kid, so it's hard to.
but but so okay, this very nice lady takes in the fox, raises it, basically treats it as a pet, thus meaning that it should never, ever be released back into the
No, it
wild
absolutely should
because
not.
to a point where that is actually a thing in this
Yeah.
kind of where she releases it into the wild and he doesn't know how to catch a fish.
No, he is
He has no
wildly
idea
unprepared to do
he has
that.
no idea how to survive out in the wild, and luckily he finds Trixie or Vixie, whatever her name is, who then kind of helps him rehabilitate into the wild.
Remind
But it
me.
is incredibly irresponsible of her to release what is essentially a pet back into a yeah, sure, it was a wild like a game reserve, so he couldn't be hunted by the hunter dude. But like there's animals in there that would just have eaten him.
Yeah. No, it's grossly irresponsible. I mean, it's unethical. But like,
Like
I can't remember. He doesn't go back to her at the end, right? He stays in the wild.
no, he stays in the wild and he's like overlooking the farm and looking at what's his name? Todd.
Copper.
Not Todd. The
Copper.
other one. Copper. Um and like looking at it all and but no, he stays in the wild.
Yeah, that
So
that's one of those
that
ones
compl-
that.
that complaint about the first one aside, we're gonna have to talk about the second one because that is my actual pick.
Real quick,
Um
real quick on the first one. Um, that's one of those ones that it's based on a book, and the book is fucking dark. Um,
yeah, I
um,
could believe that.
it's I can't remember. One of the character dies, and I know at least one of them is the old dog. He dies,
Yeah,
and
he gets hurt. He gets hurt in the Disney version, but yeah, I could definitely see how
yeah, and
he
then
got he got hit by a train. In real life, I you would not
yeah,
survive that.
he dies, and then Todd Copper like swears revenge, and
Yeah,
can't remember. I can't remember if in the actual book if I think Todd dies, but I'm not sure about. But I definitely know the old dog dies, and it's a real upsetting moment. Anyway, let's talk about the second one, which apparently is bad.
so
It was a very sad sigh. It's very clearly bad. We're teeing up to
I
the fact
mean,
that it's bad.
okay, it's a straight to it's a straight to video sequel with all that implies.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a midquel that has
so
absolutely no bearing on anything.
it's it's a midquel, and my biggest issue with it
Doesn't it like
is it's called let me I need to just vocalize this. The biggest problem with it from my perspective is okay, it's called Fox and the Hound 2, but it's not really about the Fox and the Hound. That's not really where the
isn't it
heart of this story lies.
isn't it more of
Um,
a hound movie?
I'm getting there. I'm building up. Um, the main crux of this movie it's really about hold on Reba and Patrick Swayze's
Yeah, I
characters.
knew that. I knew Reba was in it. That was a big selling point. It
Um,
was in all the commercials with Reba
so
McEntire.
so really like the crux of the problems of this movie are theirs, and Todd and Copper are just kind of
They're
there.
just kind of there because this takes place between a very specific and finite time in the original movie.
So
characters can't learn a lesson because they need to be in the spot that they need to be in later in the
So
movie.
basically, Reba and Patrick Swayze character are part of a band called the Strays, which Todd stumbles along, and Reba's basically being. I'm not using their character names because I'm lazy. Um, Reba was basically being a diva, and Patrick Swayze character finds out that Todd can not Todd, Copper can sing, and just like, "Are you a stray?" And Copper lies and is like, "Yes," and then joins the band, and he's basically says to Reba, "You're fired," and then it's all about her wanting to be back in the band, and Todd wants Copper to stop being part of the band because he's getting like backseated and like it's screwing with their friendship, which I mean ultimately I don't care about because I know their friendship is going to end with them not being one.
No, don't they? Don't they like they
They're
acknowledge each other's?
mutually acknowledging each other and smiling at each other. But I mean, just because you agree not to kill someone doesn't make you friends.
I always thought it was like they agreed that they can no longer like hang out, but they still acknowledge the impact that the friendship has had on each other.
We could debate that for sure. They agree that they were friends, but once a friend stabs you in the back and tries to hunt you down and kill you, can you ever really be friends with them again,
That is true.
Justin?
But the point is, the second movie sucks, and it's
The,
one of the worst
it's
Disney
boy,
this
is it
direct to
rough.
video shovelware.
Especially because like they want me to believe that Copper is good at singing, and I just don't see it.
Isn't that the whole point? That they have that whole moment in the first one where he's like, "Woo!" And you're like, "Man, that's awful," but he's a dog. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, it's bad, Justin.
But it's not like a
I
good
don't want to.
movie.
I don't want to spend more time talking about this than I have to. It's bad. It should feel bad. People that made it should feel bad for making it and attaching the name Fox and the Hound to it and having Fox and the Hound on it because it just does a
But Jordan,
disservice to
they
the
couldn't
first
call
one.
it Bad Dog and Fox straight to DVD movie. That would have given it away.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you could have just had it be a different pair of it didn't need to be a fox. Could have been a different animal. Also, that's the other thing that kind of drives me crazy is like so. I guess not all dogs hate Copper
Yeah,
because all the dogs in that movie
Todd.
are kind of just
The fox's name is
what?
Todd. Fox's name is Todd.
Yeah. Okay.
Copper's the
Yeah.
dog.
Right. Um, they're not all. They don't. Not every dog hates the fox, because all the other dogs in that movie are kind of just cool with him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that. I feel like the original book and movie is like some sort of commentary on like class or like and like it's like the idea that like the dogs are inherently better because they're domesticated. I think that's the idea. I could be wrong, but like yeah, that
I
movie's
mean,
just kind of like yeah, nobody
I,
cares that
I
he's a fox.
I think the idea is just that they're hunting dogs, and those other dogs are just strays.
Right. Oh yeah, I guess the strays don't have one. This movie just sounds bad, Jordan. We're trying to rationalize a bad sounding movie.
Oh yeah, we are. It was not good, is the long and short of it. So,
Straight
with
to
that being
DVD
said,
crap.
happy early birthday to Justin. We're sorry we did this on Father's Day, so nobody could show up to our party. Um, we'll have them on again at a future time, potentially doing a horror specific themed episode.
Well, it's
Um,
funny.
this has
It's
been the Spur of the Moment podcast. Uh, good night, everybody.
wow, wow, wow. Just
I did it.
that was a lot.
I did.
That was a
We
lot.
did it.
That was a
We
lot.
succeeded.
We're not quite there yet. Okay. Um, Jordan, do you have anything else to say about the last movie you watched? Which I'm spacing on the name.
I have already deleted it from my
It's
memory.
gone. It was there, and now it's gone. So
It no longer exists.
the assignment for next week, which fuck it. We know it's birthday part two, baby. No, I'm kidding. Um, but it can be if anyone wants to stop on by. We shoot this show on Discord, so if you want to hang out on Discord with us for a couple hours on probably Sunday. Probably Sunday because we have to go see our fathers. So um, next Saturday. So probably not Saturday, but probably next Sunday. Maybe later next Sunday. Maybe 1 o'clock our time next Sunday. Um, but we'll see. Anyway, um, we'll be back next week, probably Sunday. The assignment, Jordan.
Yes. What is it?
The
Hit me.
assignment.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
The assignment is going to be found footage, but not just found footage horror. We're gonna spread the love of anything that's found footage. So you could do that found footage or a found footage time travel movie, or that found footage GoPro camera commercial where he's a vampire, or you could do that found footage party, or you can do the found footage where there's superheroes.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's the superhero one.
You could do the found footage where it's a kaiju monster. Doesn't have to be
Cloverfield.
horror. Yeah, Cloverfield. But for Jordan, you can't have the time travel and the superhero one. You have to pick one. I want one of those.
We'll hash this out. Don't worry. We'll fight. We'll fight to the death, and the winner will get both the show and the winner will get both the show and both of those movies.
Yeah. I think I'd like the superhero one because I talked about the Fan Four Stick, and he's connected to that. That's the reason why he got Fan Four Stick. But anyway, we'll discuss.
We'll see. We'll see. We might have to fight for it. Maybe I want that one.
That's next week. I go. Yeah. Once again, we're gonna wrap this out. We're gonna round this out before we do end of show plug. Just once again, just guys, go donate to that Kickstarter. It's $20. You could save $20, and you
or
get
less. You could do less.
You could do less, but like $20 gets you your ticket. It gets you there, right? That's the one. That's the one that
virtually.
Yeah, virtually you get to experience it. You get to be part of it. You get to see the voice of Slappy. It's a legitimately creepy dummy. He's also Wolverine. That's pretty sick. It's gonna be really cool. And if you want to see other events like that, it's the path to it. It's gonna be super fun, super cool. Go check it out. The link is in the description. Click it, check it, donate. We're going to be pushing this until the end. You're going to be real tired of hearing about this, but that you need to go donate. Donate. Jordan, where can people find you? Where's the spot?
I do Minecraft Mondays on Twitch, Zethgore187. I'm here. And that is it for me at the moment. But if people show up more to Minecraft Monday, I may expand onto other days. If people had showed up, then they could have seen me struggle to beat Kingdom Hearts in a week. You know, they could have been there for that. That could have been a thing they could have joined me on the journey for.
Exactly. That can be as an experience that maybe one day people will want. Just saying.
Maybe.
It could happen.
Maybe. It could.
Maybe, baby.
Maybe.
Anyway,
maybe.
I'm on TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. All the links are in the description. I do this, but shorter. TikTok has really been punishing me lately. My views have been doing shit, but I'm still out there. I'm still having opinions in under 5 minutes.
We also have a Discord.
We have a Discord. You can go to Discord where, you can absolutely come hang out with us if you want. For now, we're small enough that I feel I can allow that. If you can join our Discord, and you want to be part of the episode, as long as you can play the format, absolutely, you're welcome.
Or you could suggest things to us.
Yeah, if you can only be here for half the episode, that's cool. Discord's pretty cool. You could just drop in and out whenever you want. It's pretty neat. Come do that. Come join our Discord. You can also email the show at itsjustinsbusiness@gmail.com. That's where you can send all the fun shit. I feel like that's it. I feel like I covered all the things. rtamedia.org. Check out the other podcasts. We will see them. We will see the other podcasts on their respective days.